Well, boys, we're back into the full swing of things with the footy. We're watching the very end here of Manly versus the Raiders. Pretty ordinary effort tonight from Canberra. They just gone in with a consolation. We'll catch the end as well of the Swans and Freo and wrap up all things both rugby league and AFL. We'll talk a bit of cricket. The IPL started last night. We'll have a look at the teams and make sure we know which teams our Aussies are on, plus a bit of NBA, starting to get a pretty good playoff picture, not too far away from NBA playoffs. NFL, bit of off-season movement, fair bit of free agency. We'll keep an eye on the big contracts and some quarterback movement. And then a final round featuring the UFC F1. Oscar Piastri has just won in China, and a little bit of soccer. This is On The Esky. It's an Aussie sports podcast. We love our Aussie sport. We also like our US sport. On YouTube, you can skip to the sports that you like because we have timestamps, or you can just watch the whole bloody thing. If you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. We do have Facebook, Instagram, and X, and we like to start the show by shouting a beer. This is a bit of a commemorative one here, Shauno, to one of the absolute legends of the boxing world. Who have you got?
Yeah, I'm going to shout a beer or pour one out for George Foreman, who passed away, I think it was today actually, at the age of 76. Not just known for solo of grills, but also was a two-time world heavyweight champion and Olympic gold medalist as well. Famously, his first loss coming to Ali, losing his two belts.
The Rumble in the Jungle.
And the Rumble in the Jungle. And kind of, I guess, maybe a close on that era as well, as there's really not a lot of blokes, heavyweights alive from that time period anymore. They've all since passed in the last decade, and with Foreman kind of being the last one of those big names from that generation of heavyweights. So, yeah, it's sad, in closing on his life and his career, but also of one of the biggest moments in heavyweight boxing ever. So thought it was worth giving that a bit of a shout out on the pod.
Yeah, we're just watching the YouTube clip of it. Obviously, a long time before we were born, but most people's our generation will have heard their fathers or grandfathers talk about the Rumble in the Jungle. And we'll just watch at the end there with Ali on the ropes doing a bit of the rope-a-dope, a little bit of foxing.
Back out.
Yeah, got in with a few and didn't make the 8 count. We also didn't know that George Foreman actually had 10 years off. We knew he had a couple of retirements, but we didn't realise that it was really, the late 20s, early 30s, pretty much prime for heavyweight boxing. So he had a near-death experience at the age of 28, and he hung up the gloves for a good 10 years. Then resumed at the age of 38 and was fighting professionally until the age of 48.
Yeah, and then had another 30 fights or something.
Crazy, yeah. He come back in 1987 after 10 years in the wilderness. His record at that stage was 46-2, and then he finished his professional career with 76-5. So he fought over 30 times after the age of 38. So incredible sort of conditioning and the ability to come back and not just compete, win a fuckload of fights, through his 40s. Pretty incredible.
Yep, even fought for the belt a couple of times. So yeah.
Yeah, so Vale, George Foreman, one of the legends of boxing, one of sports legends, lost in the last couple of days.
Yeah.
All right, from a former legend to one that's legend is growing. It seems like every couple of months he's featuring in our Shout of a Beer. But Gout last weekend at the Queensland State Championships in Brisbane, he ran a 19.98. He broke the 20-second barrier. Unfortunately, it won't count as an official time. There was an illegal tailwind of 3.6 metres per second, which is way overs in track and field. I think you're allowed 2 metres and under, 2 metres per second and under, and the time will count. So a bit of wind assistance there, but we just watched it pre-show and absolutely blew the field out of the park. Was well in front, past the bend, and won that. What do you reckon, about 10, 15 metres?
Easy.
And that stride, Monks was like, geez, there's someone that he reminds us of. And he does look a bit like Usain Bolt with that tall, sort of stiff lower leg, sort of long wide, strides. long strides. This kid is going to be an absolute superstar. 17 years of age. He'll be 20 at LA, and he's going to be 24. He's going to be right in the prime of his sprinting career when the Olympics comes to his hometown there in Brisbane. So enjoy a beer courtesy of the Esky Gout. His heat time was 20:05, which was...
I don't think illegally can have a beer yet, can he?
Yeah, well, that's true. Enjoy your non-alcoholic beer or your beer that you can put on ice until you turn 18, which is this year. Good pick up there. Good pick up there, Sean.
Drink responsibly.
Exactly. Speaking of legal and illegal, his legal time of 20:05 in the heats was the fastest time in the world this year. That's not just for under 20s, that's for anyone. He's
starting to peak nicely.
Yeah, he's going to be an absolute freak. He already is, but he's going to be like on a world stage, an elite talent.
Should be fighting for medals. So.
Yeah, really, yeah. And then that sort of leads you down the road of, you don't want the pressure to get a 17-year-old
Counting
kid.
chickens before they roost.
But, he's got the talent.
Yep.
And, there's outside of hammies and quads, I suppose, there's only so much that can really go wrong for a sprinter as well. It's not like a footy player or, just, you'd be pretty stiff to do.
Don't put the curse on me. Don't put that curse on me.
Next week, Gout has done his ACL at the small kid.
And blown out both Achilles. And we'll be in the wheelchair. And she's like, what did you do?
The Esky curse. The podcast is also cursed. Anyways, that's a long shout of beer, but enjoy your beer in 6 months or whenever you turn 18. Gout, courtesy of the Esky. You'll have probably a 6-pack from us stacked up there.
Keep them in the freezer.
That's it.
Monks, who you got?
Yep. So from a legend to be legend, back to a legend, I am shouting Eddie Jordan a beer, another legend of sport who unfortunately passed away this week after a battle with cancer. Mm-hmm. Famously founded the Jordan racing team for F1. Mm-hmm. Gave the likes of Michael Schumacher his debut. Mm-hmm. Built up a probably not necessarily successful, but mainstay Formula One team from 1991 through to 2005 when it was few organisational changes, but it was eventually sold to Aston Martin. There.
Basically where that team's got to, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. So great career. Just shouting or pouring a beer for Eddie Jordan.
Mm-hmm. Is he Irish by background?
Yes. Yeah, probably should have mentioned that. He's Irish by background.
Very good. Vale, Eddie Jordan, two legends of the sport two legends of sports, I should say, that we lose this week, and one future legend. Australia getting behind Gout. Mop of the week, we got on, what's his name? Rumman the Tassie Devil.
We're going with that one, are we?
The Tasmania AFL team, mascot? The Tassie Devils.
On their 1 year anniversary.
Yeah, revealed their mascot, and it pretty close to like a high school paper mache.
It was made by the kids, bro.
Was it actually made by kids?
Yeah, well, they helped design it, I believe, and it's made out of their school uniforms or some shit like that. So, overall, I don't think it's too bad. Personally, I think mascots should have flexibility. So, mostly be able to move arms and be able to interact with the crowd, because I'm not sure if you blokes remember, but when they changed Victor the Viking and brought out I think it was Thunder or some shit like that, he was just a big giant 2D shape essentially and couldn't move, and he just walked around in circles, which is not how you G up a crowd. You see how the Nugs mascot gets around and the viral sort of clips, and that's the kind of thing I would think you'd want from a mascot. So that was probably my pet peeve on it, but I think the rest of it...
Not enough flexibility. It's very niche comment there, I think.
My critique and analysis of mascot usage.
Sean's been studying hard for the NFL draft, doing 40 times, bench press, shuttles, etc. And he's also doing it for the mascots. I'm not doesn't get his hips around quick enough.
He might not be able to high point any balls with that one. But the animatronics in it, I thought was cool. So
fair enough.
Side bet of it.
I just, from an optics perspective, I thought they could have done a lot better.
Yeah.
And the name didn't make much sense to me either.
No.
Having said that, I don't think this Tasmania team's doing anything bad, because they've got 100,000 members. They're going to be one of the bigger AFL clubs by members.
Yeah. Well, let's say the mainlanders thought the mascot was a bit weird, but it seems the Tasmanians absolutely fucking love it. So
I was going to say it seems very on brand for Tasmania.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Looks fine to me.
One eye.
Stranger than they had one head. Dunk on our Tassie friends. Shout out to anyone from Tasmania if you are listening. Yeah, beautiful. Look at the scenes. Monks is just starting to Google on Tasmania, Wineglass Bay there, Cradle Mountain. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful.
Good country.
And in a place that's so beautiful, they could have come up with a more beautiful mascot. Anyway,
well, they started with a Tasmanian devil to start with, which is just an overgrown rat. So it's made it a bit challenging.
Yeah, it's an Australian treasure.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's the number one Australian export to Disney.
It is.
Anyways, that's our mop. Is rumming the Tassie Devil. Looking forward to seeing Tasmania when they do come into the comp in a few years' time.
Yep.
Sweet. All right, let's jump back to some league and then we'll get to the AFL just after. You want to hit that button, Monks? Round 3 of the Rugby League has just finished up with the Manly Seagulls hammering Canberra. But let's go back to Thursday night where...
What was this game on Thursday night, by the way?
This game? Yeah, good question. It could have gone Friday prime time. I suppose they always wanted it to be a free-to-air, I would imagine. And then the Sunday 4 p.m. is probably not going to be... So it's probably either the Thursday or the Friday slot.
Yeah, I would have thought the Friday slot, but I guess you got Brisbane Cowboys, so
from a scheduling perspective.
Yeah, Brisbane gets to.
I like having a good game on a Thursday night.
I think it's good to get some viewership.
Yeah.
You've got the two best teams playing the
Friday
rematch of the grand final.
Yeah, because you Thursday afternoon at work and you're getting home, you're not having to go and watch Tigers or Titans. Not that
true.
You wouldn't get that on a Thursday night anyway. But I thought it was good for morale actually knocking off on Thursday. GF rematch. No Dill Edwards. He's on Matty Johns. We've got that in the background right now. And this game got off to a bit of a tumultuous start with two big stars, the Dally M winner and the Clive Churchill winner, knocking heads. And Nathan,
odd collision.
Very strange mechanism, isn't it? The ball in back play, Nathan Cleary trying to jump to sort of get out of the way. Yeah, I don't know.
You got too much elevation.
Get out of the way.
I don't know. It backfired, didn't it? Because
hip check, maybe.
Yeah,
he landed on his head.
Landed on his noggin and was cat one, and he was done. And that was 12 minutes into the game or something. So he didn't.
Hughes played out the game though.
Played out the game, but had a hand fracture.
Yeah.
So, but both of them are done for a little while. I think Jerome will miss maybe 4 weeks, and Nathan at least 1.
Yep.
So look, you hate to see two superstars of the game colliding. I suppose it could have been worse. Looking at the the footage, check it out if you haven't seen it. I think I've seen it about 20 times since Thursday night. And then Storm got off to a pretty red hot start. They're up 14-0, and then Penrith just show how classy they are. And they're missing, Dill Edwards didn't play this game, and they're missing the best player in the comp. And without their 1 and their 7, Isaiah sort of started playing a bit more ball playing and leading, and Jack Cole just playing a sort of supplementary role. And they actually stayed in the whole game, really. And it was 30-24 with a sort of dubious refereeing decision towards the end as well. Another injury for Storm with Nick Meaney breaking his jaw. He had friendly fire with Big Nas. And
that was Nas' first game of the year as well.
Yeah, coming back. I think he had 5 games suspension.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure he played cup game last week. Yeah, so that's
just missed out on getting a hip drop suspension as well.
Yeah, what did you think? I think the outcome actually might have saved him a little bit there. In that I think it was Liam Martin that he was tackling. We ended up being fine because he kind of missed his ankle and his legs as he come down.
Well, he's in concussion protocol as well. Round 5 return.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Storm got hit hard.
Yeah, a bit banged up.
Well, they had
a big match.
They haven't got scan results yet for Grant Anderson. He had a non-contact and it looked real bad, and then he was back out in the field. So I suppose worst.
Didn't they check him? Like they checked his knee and they said it was all structurally okay.
Yeah, so I suppose worst case he may have had like a little sprain, but he played out. He played out, so he's.
I didn't see the mechanism.
It was like he sort of stepped out to the right, and it didn't have that like classic like. ACL
did it lock maybe?
Pivot shift? Nah, not really.
Wasn't straight leg?
Nah, I was watching the Blues.
Tears running in your eyes, but
Yeah, we'll talk about that one later.
We'll get to that in a sec. I did see it on NRL physio page, but I think he's fine. Anyways, is that Melbourne interesting? Like Bellamy's kind of, in classic bellyache sort of fashion, probably not real happy with the performance after Cleary goes, and they only just win by a try, and they were heavily favoured, but. Obviously, after losing a grand final, that would have meant the world to him. And Penrith, you can't.
Black also demands perfection. So
there's a reason why they've been as good as they have been since the club's inception.
I think the ongoing feud between Liam Martin and Munster is still very tasty. So they'll probably carry that into Origin too.
Yeah, it seems like they don't like each other very much, those two boys. But yeah, Penrith go down, but. Definitely didn't go down in anyone's books, I don't think, this year and what we think they can do.
Yep.
Friday night, the Warriors get a win, 14-6 against Chooks. CNK pretty good in this one. Ali Leatao, I think I'm saying that right, had a double. He was pretty good. Bad news for the Wars with Roger Tuivasa-Sheck doing a hammy. I'm not really sure on
Didn't finish the
severity
game.
there,
Had ice on
but
it.
yeah, he'd be missing at least 3 to 4, you'd think.
Yeah.
And then Victor Radley had another HIA, didn't he? He passed that HIA, correct?
Yeah, he was back on the field.
Yeah, back on. But
Not as worried with the head knocks.
it was round 1 that he was out in the first 10 minutes, 15 minutes, isn't it? I think got a pretty long sort of concussion history, but glad to see that he was able to finish, and hopefully we see him next week without too many issues.
That's something with that Roosters team where they've always had head issues.
Boyd Cordner, Jared Warrior-Hargraves had a few.
Kiri was the other one.
Kiri,
Teddy's had a bunch. He's been good for a couple of years at least. So he had a bad run at one point.
Kiri and Teddy are good points. Hey, they've had like double digits.
James makes a fair point. Though. It's interesting that they seem to
Friend as well.
Yeah, from Nathan. Well, Nathan Friend I think had a bunch leading into going to the Roosters as well. So maybe added to it. But Jake Friend.
Different friends. Friends with benefits.
But yeah, whether it's coincidence or it seems like they're a team that has, again, multiple dudes with double-digit potential concussions.
I wonder if it's a surface thing there at Allianz. A lot of that, I'm trying to think of South's got all these injuries, but a lot of it are happening out their training paddock as well.
Yeah.
Or it's just coincidence when we're overanalyzing, but
I suppose so. Yeah.
Really good.
It's either
really good point that you made.
How they teach tackling technique, or like you say, maybe they just lose footing and they just get heads in the wrong spot.
Teddy's a classic for losing his feet and getting
sliding, slipping into a tackle,
and
he gets too low and cops it.
Yeah, but interesting point that you make. That for one particular injury subtype, they seem to have had a lot of guys.
It just seems to be something
concussion.
You always hear, something.
Radley, I think it's part of his game.
He plays very aggressive his style.
He just puts his head where you wouldn't put your hand. And anyways, lucky that he come out all right in this one. But the Chooks, after beating Penrith last week, pretty sort of lacklustre performance across the Dutch there against the Wars. Brisbane was the 8 p.m. game, their derby game against the Cowboys. They won 26-16. We're just watching Matty Johns without any sound, but they were showing some Payne Haas highlights.
Machine.
Yeah, if he keeps this up, he might go down as one of the best front rows.
I saw the thing we'll talk about in a minute about Dylan Brown, if he's worth 1.3 over 10 years, that Payne Haas should be worth 2. So
I don't know about 2,
but that's the exaggeration. But it's like he's on another level though.
And what's a middle forward worth compared to a half?
Yes,
but I agree. If Dylan Brown is now this measuring stick, which we'll get to in a second, and the bloke's getting 1.3 for 10 years, Payne Haas has got to be
more than that.
$1.5 million. I don't know. It's a lot of money.
It should be more.
Middle. Yeah. And again, it's obviously the yardstick doesn't really line up with because we're comparing to a half contract. But the bloke should be making $1 million plus for the rest of his career.
Easy.
These were his numbers on Friday night: 71 minutes, a try, 2 line breaks, 36 tackles, only 1 missed, 9 tackle busts, 5 offloads, 210 run meters. I play NRL Fantasy. He scored 106 in that, which is just about unheard of, nearly for any player, but especially for a middle forward. And then Supercoach, the way they score, it'd be a bit higher. So
I think he downplayed his try as well because it was from about 30 out, and beat 3 dudes to get there. So.
Yeah, he's scoring like open field, like fullback
Yeah.
type tries.
Yeah.
And apparently every preseason you hear about how he's like the fittest guy in the team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, he's a freak. And I'm so glad he's New South Wales. It's the one sort of saving grace when you see someone killing it for the Broncos.
Yeah.
Someone that lives on this side of the border is that come Origin time, he's on our team.
Reynolds and Carrigan were good in this. Reynolds did go to third, I think it was, all-time scoring as well, taking over
chase that up.
Jared Croker, I believe. Croker's spot. So, what is it? Is it Cam Smith and who's second, actually?
Is Thurston 2?
Maybe. Could be the shout.
I was looking at this earlier in the year. The other guys in the top 10, I think Haslam's top 10. I think Daryl Halligan's top 10. I think Jason Taylor's top 10. Mick Cronin might be top 10. Jared Croker, as you mentioned.
Yep.
So he's gone third above Jared Croker. Haslam's 2.
Haslam's 2. Okay.
And Cam Smith is 1. Thurston's 5. Yep. Joey 6. Jason Taylor 7. Daryl Halligan 8. Mick Cronin. I had them all except Graham Eady. That's the top 10. There you go. A bit of trivia for you.
So he could.
Yeah, he should pass Haslam this season without an injury.
Yep.
And then he'd have to play a lot more.
No one's touching Smith's
A lot
record.
more to get
from
past
the-
Cam
yeah.
Smith. So for the record, Cam Smith is 27.86. Haslam in 2 is 24.18. And then Reynolds just gone to 3 is 23.78. So he needs another 50 points to go past Haslam. So, barring injury, that should happen this season.
Cowboys did fall to 0-3 on that, and they host the Raiders next week, who both looking for a bounce back now.
Yeah, I thought the Cowboys, I think we spoke about it in our preview, we were all probably expecting maybe a little regression. I don't think we were expecting them to be this poor. Although against Brisbane,
I think the main point we talked about was their halves, and they've already
mixed and matched a little bit.
Yeah, who did they switch out? Did Clifford start and they switched it, or was it the other way around?
Yeah, so Duffy missed out and Clifford went in, I believe.
There you go.
I don't know. Todd Payton's got some decisions to make there. I'll keep a little bit of an eye on Duffy because he's in the NRL fantasy team and was a little lackluster in the first few rounds.
Yeah,
and then it kind of goes to show, like a guy like Chad Townsend leaving the club. Like obviously he's not a high end, elite halfback, but he's experienced and can get the boys around the park, and is obviously being missed at the moment. And it just does push a lot of pressure onto Tommy Dearden, who is an excellent runner of the ball, but the ball playing probably not as natural to him.
agree.
Yeah, Bronx look pretty good. I think most people maybe expected them to win this a little bit easier, and I think the big takeaway is just Payne Haas and how good the bloke can be. Sharkies get a win against Souths, 27-12 there at Shark Stadium. Sharks are actually up 26-0 in this one before a few blokes succumbed to injury. Sifa Talakai looked like a high ankle, looked like a Cindy. So we'll see how that plays out in the coming days. Hopefully no surgery. But yeah, the mechanism didn't look great. And then Braden Hamlin Uwaley, it was a knee, I think MCL. So they'll both be missed for 4 to 6 weeks, plus possibly if Talakai needs surgery.
I know Nico had a bit of an injury cloud going into this. He had a bad cork, I believe, but
got through it okay. He actually played pretty good. Yeah, so. His half partner, Braden Trindle's even better. I think Trindle's actually really starting to establish himself with a bit of consistency and being, one of the better sort of sixers getting around in the NRL. Ronaldo Mortalo very good in this one as well, and the Sharks showed what a lot of us thought they could do this year. They've only lost to Penrith this year in Vegas as sitting 5th on the ladder. They're looking pretty good. Yeah.
Souths haven't been bad for their own right.
They won their first 2 games. I had it for the spoon, man. Yeah, so they did win their first 2 games. Dragons pretty ordinary last week, that's for sure. And Souths only did win by a point. But yeah, considering the attrition of the off-season and starting, really underdone from an injury standpoint, to have won 2 games, that's fine.
Yeah, and I think they got some of those troops back a bit earlier than some had expected. So I think that really helped.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting when Trell comes back and what actually they do with him, because Jai Gray's looked okay with the one on his back, and we see how good Latrell Mitchell is when he plays centre for New South Wales. And I know, as you know, if you're an outside back or you're an edge, you know, and you're defending, you know, I don't think there's anyone you'd less like to defend on your own line, you know, coming at you from a centre's point of view. But also, you know, you want your best player touching the ball as much as possible. Yeah. So
I think Humphrey's actually been pretty good for them too.
You seen that bloke with his fucking lid off? Mark's getting a picture up.
Only with the door closed, and my wife doesn't know where I'm at.
I say, baby, come in here, check it. We can appreciate it together. This is the most jack-looking halfback I reckon I've ever seen. I think he broke. He broke the tackling record as well for a half. I think he made 45 tackles in this game. Yeah, wait till you see the bloke. He's built like a brick shithouse for a 7. You might have to go shirt off or something. They're running. Yeah, there we go. There's pipes shots. He's a big 7, and can obviously defend pretty well as well. There you go. There's the beach shot that we're all looking for.
All talking about
Pecs, traps, abs, al dente.
Show a bit more, and he might get a Bonds contract.
Well, be on his way. That NRL roast, the sexiest man in league next year. Herbie might be in trouble if Humphreys keeps playing a bit of first grade. And look, his looks aside, he actually seems like a pretty good footy player.
He seems pretty good.
So stepping into the 7 role.
If he gets a bit of Wayne approval, I think that'll G you up. So
Yeah, there he is with Lara. Pretty rare to have someone better looking than Lara in the photo, actually. And there's no disrespect to you there, Lara.
No, none at all. We'll go to a wrong lid and talk about Brandon Smith, the cheese.
The cheese. Poor cheese.
Yeah.
I've wrote set to join South. I think that's been confirmed.
Yes, he signed. So he will. He's got the contract for 26-27. The talk is about whether he will go to South this year. The talk that he'll probably see out his contract with the Roosters. From what I heard, that both him and Sam Walker are already back at training, back in quotations there. Like you said, I think that's more the rehab side of it, but they seem to be running, which I think is pretty big.
They should be straight line running at this stage.
Yeah, but I don't think, you know, there's some talk about targeting mid-season, but again, you wouldn't run a rush any of these guys back. So, you know, mid to late season at the earliest, and maybe not, and they'll sit, but we'll see what plays out for both those guys. But if say Cheese is ready by mid-season, then the talk will start from South. Was like, we'd like to have him across, maybe get him a bit earlier, and he, you know, maybe he's a bit of coin back your way, for example. But we'll see. It locks in a night, like hooker is probably a spot that they really didn't have a.
Well, it's interesting as well. Like talking about Humphreys sort of stepping into that role at 7. Peter Mamazoulis has been not bad either as a 9, but lots of teams, you know, we've seen, you know, it's pretty common now to try and have 2 reasonable guys at the hooking position.
It's interesting, though. Also on that point, I think Cameron Smith, that is. Was talking about like he doesn't reckon hooker's his best position.
13.
Yeah, he maybe better lock of, you know, getting in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe like in that Yo kind of, you know, a bit of a ball player too.
Yeah. Obviously that's
I know,
high,
but I mean it's a style of play. Like you get involved a bit more, you get, you know, hand on the ball, and you know, do a bit more on the edges there. So we'll see.
And that's also when teams have those 2 hooking options. Often they do have that one sort of true, you know, 9 and one that's more of a bigger body can defend in the middle.
Or is he just the best 14 in the game? Like that's, you know, is that what they want to do with him? You know, you have him come on and he plays 40 minutes, but he can fill in impact anywhere else. So.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to see what happens from a release standpoint.
Wayne will figure it out.
You made a good point, you know, earlier on. You're like,
he sprinkled some magic. We thought it'd be like
don't worry about the list. Don't worry about the injuries. If they've got Wayne Bennett there, they'll be right.
Yeah.
Playing the Dragons helps.
They were fucking ordinary in those last 20 minutes. We didn't have a podcast last week. We may as well speak a bit. Like, I was up and about. I was at a Bucks party.
They played pretty good this week. So it's
2 points against the Wire. Yeah, classic dad joke. Well done. You're ready for a third, I think.
We'll see what injuries come out this week.
Yeah. Not all your teams can lose. At least they have this one.
0-4 between 2 codes. We'll get to Carlton in a second. Dragons Other than the first 10 minutes where South actually outplayed them, but the Dragons were on top of them for 60 minutes and then...
Had a decent lead, 2-try lead, and gave it up.
That's intergenerational trauma, mate.
Yes.
All right, let's run into
Finns.
the other games from yesterday. Yep, so Finns go 0-3. They were wearing their Redcliffe kit, and you wouldn't believe it.
Are they banged up?
A little bit, but not like South's
South's.
banged up. Yeah.
Take Wayne Magic from here to here, and you see the difference.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who's
Yeah,
not
true.
playing. Flegler hasn't started.
Yeah, but they kind of expected him not to, and that's why Molla's now signed with them. And they've...
There's not really.
No, yeah.
Like, Trey Fuller, their backup fullback, like they're not really banged up.
Yeah, that's what it's listed.
So yeah, it could be a long season for the Finns.
Yep.
Could be really promising. The West Tigers, 3 rounds in, they sit third.
Yep.
So congrats, early season congrats to Tigers fans around the world. A bloke that I know is a Tigers fan was telling me it's the first time at round 2 that they've been in the top 8 in 10 years.
Yep.
So they've been notoriously slow out of the gates.
Yeah, I can't think of a time. You'd have to go back to like when Benji was there.
I don't think it's
That's not quite that's
that long ago.
that's 2
But it's
decades
also we're talking
ago.
about round 2 ladder.
Yeah,
Like, you know what I mean? Like it's a bit of an odd stat. But and I think a lot of it sort of pertains to if you're winning 4 games in a season, you're usually starting 0-2.
Yeah.
Is probably where that stat come from. Well, look, they've already won 2, and they're round 1. They're only 2 points off Newcastle, so they're only a penalty kick and a field goal off being 3-0. So
Appy was very good in this one.
yeah, come back for him.
Big try for him too.
Yep.
I think the big story for them is also is it Lachlan Galvin?
Galvin, yeah.
Galvin, being off contract as well, and all the talk that with the contract that Dylan Brown got, and he's a very young, up and coming, talented 6. Like, what's he going to get? And it seems his management's are already been ringing around saying, "Hey, he's available."
Yeah, the Millie. I was listening to Denon Kemp and discuss this on Bloke. Denon was of the opinion that he might be able to command 800 as a 19-year-old, which is
still
pretty good money.
Crazy, yeah.
And the Millie had been thrown around.
Yeah. If you're a desperate club that needs a half and you're in competition.
It's a half league, isn't it?
Yeah. 100%. We talked about that in our preview. If you don't got them, you're hunting for them. And if you're, say, a little bit desperate, i.e. the Eels maybe, for example, or Dragons, you might be like, we'll pay the premium. Like, The big difference.
He's talented. As well.
But the big difference is unproven. He's talented and compared to.
But Dylan Brown, like for 1.3 mil a year, like I'm not saying that Galvin and Brown are, Brown's obviously a little bit more.
Did play in a grand final though.
Yeah.
So that I think,
and he's good.
But how much is that him and how much is Moses? So I think's been the question, and you kind of see where the Heels are at the moment.
My point is that it's a big risk to take with Dylan Brown.
I agree.
The money that they're paying him. We may as well talk about it just now. So West. Well done. They sit third.
Going into
Newcastle lose to the Gold Coast, but the massive story out of the week in rugby league, and it had been sort of speculated for a little bit longer than that. But Dylan Brown signed for 10 years, $13 million, 1.3 a season to leave Parramatta and join Newcastle. What are our thoughts around this, boys?
Yeah, if you're Dylan Brown, you never say no to that.
Fucking lot of money.
Yeah. Because I know he said the guarantee was the main thing, and I was like, if you got 10 years, I'd be interested to see how locked in that 10 years is. Watertight that contract is towards the back end of it, but it's good for him. He gets guaranteed good money. I think overall it's a good deal for Newcastle, because if in 2 years' time they do the bloody TV deal, it might be chump change in comparison to what the salary cap is.
Inflation.
Because I think I looked at it, and salary cap 10 years ago to what it is now is double. Yeah. So, again, if you think about it, if it's going to be doubled, he'll be cheap at that point. So, you kind of win out for the Knights, but you're also then locking yourself into, hey, you're going to be playing this guy for the next 10 years. Health. Hopefully he stays healthy and he stays consistent at the performance. So, How old is he at the moment?
24.
24, so that'll take him through to 34, but, that's prime years, so it's all right.
It's been interesting, the other long contracts, like Jason Taumalolo coming into the last one of his. I reckon that was a sort of a push, between
started really well. And
started really well.
Got value for
Obviously,
money, and then
the last few years, his knees have been pretty cooked, and that's what you factor.
It's probably also a
factoring
different, wear and tear on a
middle forward compared to
versus
a 6 or a 7. Yeah.
Again, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I know some of the old heads were saying that their preference would be more shorter term deals, and I can get that as well. Like get a 3 or 4 year deal, and then same thing is hopefully you play really well, and then you go back to the market and you get your second deal. Yeah, your second deal, which using that NFL comparison is usually what they do. You come off your rookie deal, you get your first big contract, and then you get your second. And then you kind of hope for your retirement contract. That's kind of like what you want your career, your 10, 15 years in the league to be if you're going to be consistent. And, that second and third contract you get is where you capitalise. So, and really, in following that theory is he's kind of given up the fact that, in 4 years' time, when he's, say, 28, maybe they're a finals team and he's playing really well, that he won't get an opportunity to capitalise on the cost at that point. And maybe they're getting $2 million a year kind of thing, and he can get $2 million over the final 4 years.
And that's where the clauses, I suppose, are interesting, and the releases
exactly,
and when you can actually get out of it, etc.
Yeah. Which is why a lot of these guys have a big hoopla and holla. I'm not getting paid enough. We'll use Mola as an example. They were fighting over 100K essentially.
Had to give money back.
So he's fine. I'll give you the money back so I can sign my contract elsewhere. So, but he thought he was getting underpaid by that much, and he thought he'd get more elsewhere. So, it'll be interesting.
So, looking back at Jason Taumalolo's deal, it was at 2017. Is that confirmed that when he signed that? So he actually has 2 years left on his contract.
Yep,
that's crazy. It's such a long time to give to a middle forward. But
he won at the moment.
So. We won at Dally M as a middle. So
they went to a few finals, didn't they? I don't think they won any, but it's
so 2015. You have to
the 15.
15. He would have been in that team.
Yeah,
he would have been young as anything.
They haven't been back since then, have they?
Give us a look at the Cowboys 2015. Team. So that would have
been...
Thurston would have been there. That would have been...
Didn't they go back a couple of years later?
Morgan.
They
lost. Melbourne.
They lost to Melbourne, didn't they?
Melbourne that year, wasn't
it? Yeah, maybe it was that year.
2017, I think.
Yeah, so they've gone to 2 finals in 3 years.
He would have played in two grand finals.
Yeah, so I can see you can see the reasoning.
Yeah. But the supporting crew that he had
yes.
at that stage, like a prime Michael Morgan as well. Gavin Cooper was an Origin level player. Kyle Felt was in his prime. Ben Hannant was pretty good. Colin Hess was he would have been young. Who else was in that team? Matthew Scott was an Origin level player. James Tarmow. Pretty handy squad in those days.
Yeah, definitely.
And then they had the best young forward in the game essentially. I think it's a push. I don't think either party is a clear winner in the Jason Taumalolo deal. We'll see how the Dylan Brown deal turns out when we're looking back at this on a podcast in 2035.
Yeah. Well, back to your point, Sean, this was an article back in 2017. And outside of Daly Cherry Evans, all of the long contracts in the NRL were 5-year contracts there. So
that's what made it so groundbreaking, I suppose.
Yeah. Even DCE's one a couple of years, 8 years there. I guess it made sense in the context for him to backflip that they gave him a huge deal, which is what that would have ended, and they gave him another 2 years since then.
Yeah. I think he's been re-upped since that. Fairly sure. Which ends at the end of this year, which we'll talk about in just a second. Gold Coast actually pretty good in this. Maybe a bit of reality check for Newcastle, who won their first 2 games.
Yeah. The point there I thought was quite interesting is the Knights stink on the Gold Coast. Wonder why that is. Haven't won there in 10 years. Maybe they enjoy the trip a little too much up north.
Get up there too early before the game.
Is that the
Cyclones? That's the one. It's Cyclones.
Cyclones.
And is that Titans getting off the donut as well?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. Do we have any winless teams left?
Yeah, they're heaps. Dolphins, Dragons. Dragons have 2 points at least. Para, Cowboys. They're all winless. We'll look at the ladder when we wrap things up. Speaking of one of those winless teams, Parramatta Choice. They actually were competitive today, but Canterbury go 3-0. Mitch Moses was announced that he's got a stress reaction in his foot. So I think it's around the old hardware from his...
I believe that's what they're saying.
Yep. Yeah, from his surgery from last year. So we're not going to see him for at least another 3-4 weeks.
I think he somehow worked it out. This is how you don't play for the Eels.
Just play Origin.
Exactly. If he's back in 6 weeks, he'll come in, maybe play 1 or 2 games.
Just get
the
in
perfect
early.
time for Origin.
He was doing.
Rest up.
He had the voodoo doll out on Nathan Cleary, making him do stupid jumps in the air.
He's
And
like,
on his fucking noggin.
Yes, play Origin, and then sorry, I'm hurt again, and then don't play the rest of the year. So yeah.
What are our thoughts around Zach Lomax leaving the Dragons?
I was going to
for-
ask that question.
Yeah,
To pay-
for less money.
to play his preferred position. Yeah, he probably was sold on the fact that Mitch Moses was going to be there.
I had this sort of argument going in a group text, and whilst I have started 0-3, like a few of the boys were like, yeah, but wouldn't you rather play with Brown and Mitch Moses than the Dragons? And I was like, as much as my red V eyes were, digging my heels in saying, no, he should have stayed. They were going to pay him more money. I can still see why.
Yeah, yes, yeah. And
Kind of funny.
And I think this kind of goes back to our point about the Dylan Brown contract, because it's his team, and they were dreadful last year without Moses, and they've been dreadful at the start of this year without Moses. And if they Knights want him to play halfback, not a 6, which is what they've been signed to do, it's again going back to the what have we paid for? You've paid for a very talented 6. You might then try to pigeonhole into a 7, which won't work out. So
it's going to be
tough.
nearly exactly the same as Jerome Luai. I think it's a 6 who's going to be taken away from a generational sort of halfback and put into a new system. And how good can you?
But
be?
having said that, I wonder if he's a 6 in name though.
Yeah,
Because Galvin's playing a bit more of that halfbacky kind of role for them. I wonder if that's kind of how they just mesh their chemistry. Whereas they don't have, the Knights are very much reliant on Brown to be their showpiece half. Is the way I think of it. So yeah, unless they find something else this year, then it's going to be a bit of a challenge because they stink. Without Moses, they're just completely different.
Going back to Zach Lomax, did brain it today. Had 291 run meters, and I think he did pretty well there with scroll across on the stats there, Monks. Yeah, 30 runs for 291 run meters, 89 of them post contact, a line break, 9 tackle busts. Pretty handy game there from
He's
one
not
of
doing
tomorrow's finest.
He's just in a team that's struggling at the moment.
Who they play next week? Who's going to stay winless the longest, I suppose, is the next question. They play Manly at Manly next week. That's tough. The Dragons get the Storm. That's no easier. The Dolphins get the Broncos.
Yep.
So they could all remain winless, potentially. Who the Cowboys play? That we've mentioned it before, the Raiders.
Yes.
So who's going to get off the donut? A few winless teams. Dragons, luckily, that they've had the bye.
Undefeated teams? They're just following
Bulldogs, Storm. That might be it.
That might be it. There you go.
Yeah.
Doggies.
And Storm have a bye. So only 2 undefeated, but
Technically Raiders.
no, Raiders
No,
just
hang
lost.
on.
They just lost.
Oh, there
That
you go.
hasn't
Sorry,
got
that's
smacked. Lost.
yeah.
Just
No,
had that
don't worry
updated,
about
yeah.
that.
Speaking of which,
Great segue. Manly has just pumped the Raiders 40-12. It was 30-0 at halftime. Absolutely one-way traffic there at 4 Pines Park without Turbo.
yeah, which was interesting. I was talking to you pre-pod that that Manly have been Canberra's bogey team for many, many years. They always find a way to lose to them somehow. But you just thought, they've got no Tommy Turbo. It can't be. They've been red hot. They should be good, but no. They just, for whatever reason, they just don't like getting off the bus there in Manly, and played pretty shocking that first half. And Horsburgh getting sent off, and then they scored 4 tries in that period. So
4 tries in 10 minutes, I'm pretty sure.
yeah. So that probably broke the back. Then it was, I guess, competitive the first 20, but bit of a poor showing there from the Raiders. Come back to earth a little bit.
Ruben Garrick, how good was he? 4 tries. How many goals did you have there, Monks? 6.
6.
Yeah.
Pretty good game there from Rubes.
Starling's been good there for the Raiders.
Yeah, not too bad. And Owen Paddy off the bench, but not much to talk about really for the Raiders there. That Lehigh Hopewadi goes all right with a 1 on his back.
Yep.
It's one of the better backup fullbacks, I think, in the league. Obviously, Turbo's irreplaceable,
Yes.
but if you've got to throw the 1 jersey on someone at late notice, Lehigh's a pretty handy little option there.
And to finish off what we were talking about before, DCE, coming back to his contract, he's off contract at the end of the year. And he actually might be up for grabs because he is getting up old.
1989, the
Yes.
last of the 89.
Last of the 89s. And Manly have kind of been thinking in potential retirement. But if he wants to go again, they want to do 1 year deals. Whereas DC is kind of where Reynolds was at South. He's just like, well, I want some certainty, and I think I'm good enough to play another 2. Like I think my body's
he's still
good
pretty
enough.
good.
Yeah, I don't think he's fallen off a cliff, and there's not a huge amount of he's probably a top 10 halfback. Yeah, but there's better. Like he's consistent for you, and he's got the experience. Like you're not going to want to throw that away based on what we were talking before about. You want halfbacks. So if they're not willing to, pony up those 2 years, there's a potential for DCA to be on the move. And there's been talk about, does he go home? And when we talk about home, he came through the Redcliffe system is what I mean. Like, does he go back to...
lived it. Like he lived there for his primary schooling.
Yeah. Does he go back to Queensland and, play for the Dolphins? Because Katoa could use it as a young fella, could use it as a better mentorship. Yeah. Kind of following what happened to Reynolds, like he got forced out at South. They really didn't want it, and he wanted more certainty, and Brisbane had that certainty for him. So whether, there's also his old head coach at the Titans, maybe go back to the deal he reneged on, could also hook up there, and they could definitely use an extra half. Yep. So, those things have been talked about. So I don't think he's going to lack suitors is where I'm going with this.
Nah, I think there'll be lots of people putting their hat in the ring.
Yeah, I'm thinking most likely he'll end up staying at Manly, but if, they think they can go younger, they'll then I think there's a few Queensland clubs that'll be more than happy to have him come up.
Mark's got the list of one club people in rugby league up there. A lot of Super League sort of players. I'm just trying to use my eyes to sort of filter.
Steve
Mortimer at the Dogs, 272.
Darren's got to be on that
Jake
list somewhere.
Friend. Yeah, I think we might be missing a few because
there's I don't know if this looks right.
Yeah,
because Cam Smith
didn't play for anyone else, did he?
Nope.
I reckon. List of what's the thing? One club man in rugby league, maybe just the sort function's not working very well.
Sort by nationality. Do that so we get the Australian ones. There you go.
That'll be alphabetical.
Game order,
yeah. But that's okay at least. Then we can quickly scan the Australian ones.
You know what I'm going to do?
Oh, there you go. You got both there.
I'm just going to get a list of most NRL games. This will be easier.
No, that is a list. That list.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with this list.
Seems pretty whack. Here we go.
Yeah.
All right, Cam Smith is a one club man. Darren Lockyer is a one club man.
Yeah.
Paul Gallen, Corey Parker.
Someone needs to go and fix up.
There's actually not that many, really. So on this current list, if he was to stay, I think he's 5 for one club players. So DCE has 332 games. If this is up to date from this weekend, not really sure if it is, but anyways. So the only other guys that are one club ahead of him, Cam Smith, 430 with the Storm. Lockyer, 355 with the Broncos. Gallen, 348 with the Sharks. Corey Parker, 347 with the Bronx. Johnny Sutton, 330. He'll pass John Sutton. He'll go top 5 for one club players, and he's equal 15th for anyone at the moment in terms of club games.
Yep.
So it'd be interesting if he wants to finish his career there at Brookie, or if he gets thrown a bit of we're talking about half-pack pricing. What kind of contract could he sort of still command in
Which
his
I
late
think
30s?
the other thing is he's looking for halfback money, whereas Manly want to give him a haircut as well. It's like, you're close to retirement. Like, we can't be paying overs for you. And he's just like, well, I want market rate, and market rate is expensive. So, there's a lot of that to play out throughout the season. So we're interested to see how that goes. If he goes around in the origin period again, which seems likely, then if he does well on that, like it's going to be hard to be throwing in peanuts. He's going to want good coin.
Watch this space. I'm sure it'll be speculated on probably throughout the season. Let's talk about the Dragons and we'll look at the ladder. Me and Monk's team, 0-2. We spoke before about pretty ordinary loss to South and lost the Dogs week 1. Luckily, got the 2 points against the bye this week, and then they play the Storm next week. So they're not sure where the first win's going to come from. We alluded to it before, but Francis Molo is gone. Has that confirmed Dolphins signing?
Correct.
And he was an
It was-
Origin
it was-
player not that long ago.
Yeah, it was literally within hours.
Yes,
Like,
and
they
that
said
had
he's
already
released.
happened.
Yeah, it already. Which asked some questions of like, this is a stitch up. Like he's obviously been talking about this contract, wanting to get out of it, but then also he's been wanting to get out of this contract for weeks. So obviously he had something else lined up, as the way I think of it. So
There's some
I know some
story-
people having a talk about it, but about like contracting, you
that's just the
see
way
how
that-
your thingies, blah blah blah. But
just the way that the footy works.
yeah, he
had
wanted
to get
out
back 100 grand.
Exactly, he wanted out, and he was happy to pay for it. So I don't think he can.
There's
Too
some
much about that.
sort of rumor about not being real happy with Mad Monday last year, and he's off the beers and didn't go. And they said, well, you could still come, and I don't know if that's just a cover story.
Yeah.
His playing days as a Dragon are done. And then, Monks, can you get up Dave Clemmer there, see if you can get any news from Clemmer joining the Dragons? We may not get any contract details, but just confirmation that it has actually happened, pen to paper. It's not a great
close.
Like Clemmer's a good player, don't get me wrong, but he's a bit older than Molo, and
You're getting a guy on the
been
back
the
end of his career.
Dragons recruiting
recruiting
strategy this whole off season. Yeah.
the old bald-headed madman is ready to fire for the Dragons. Sydney Morning Herald.
Yeah. Let's go with that one.
See what you can find there. This is Sydney Morning Herald. He's born 1993, so 32 years of age. He's actually not that old, much older than Molo.
He's just got one of those wrong lids that makes him look old.
Well, I think he was good young as well.
Yeah.
So that sort of it makes you think that people are older than what they are.
Yeah, it's a very Dragon thing to try to put the 2018 New South Wales squad back together.
With Val Holmes.
Not much on contract here.
That's all right.
But
it's
they've
confirmed at least.
confirmed he's going Dragons?
Yeah.
Yeah, that seemed to be always the player. Just the player just had to all fall into place and be worked out.
Round 3, ladder looks like this. Storm, top of the table, 6 points. They do have a bye in there. The only team that's 3-0 are the Doggies. Then West Tigers in third, Broncos fourth, Sharks fifth, Raiders sixth, Warriors seventh, Titans eighth, Knights ninth, Rabbitohs 10th. All of those teams are on 4 points, so very tight there. And then the teams on 2 points, 11th Manly, 12th Penrith. Don't worry about Penrith. I don't think they'll be there for too long.
So Manly will pop up when they get updated.
Yeah, good point. So Manly have 4 points as well. Dragons 13th.
Slide it too.
Without a win, which is interesting. Roosters 14th, and then the winless, byless teams down the bottom there. 15 Dolphins, 16 Cowboys, 17 Eels. That is the 2025 Rugby League first 3 rounds.
Yeah. Penrith outside the 8 and then negative points for and against.
Yeah, don't read into that too much. They're $5.50 to win the whole thing. I think they'll bounce back pretty quickly. Let's see who they play next.
Bunnies?
They've dropped
Oh, no. Yeah, Bunnies. It's there. They've got Bunnies next.
Yeah, on Thursday night. So I think they'll probably win that.
Another Thursday night.
And then the Cowboys too. So I don't think it'll be too long in the wilderness for Penrith. You want to talk about this TV deal? Or potential TV deal?
Potential, because it has 2 factors to it. Because there's talk about during the week that Horseman Volandis is interested in a streaming deal as well, and the potential of splitting up the NRL games, like maybe Thursday nights on this one and Saturday footies on this one, and streaming services gets this one, etc. Very much following what the NFL model is. They're talking about $3 billion. Whether they'll get that sort of money, I'm not sure, but they're looking for big cash injection. And I believe that deal's meant to come next year. I think it might be up, or the following year. It's soon. But the main thing with that is, if you're going to go to a new TV deal, you need to have a good understanding of what teams you have and how big your league is. So there's a lot of questions starting to raise about that, about what's happening for, say, the 19th team, I guess.
Because we know that Papua's coming in.
We know Papua's coming in. They're 18, yep. There's some talk that they'll have an answer for that within the weeks.
Wow.
So, yeah. I think that's Western Australia. They've just West Australia government's got involved and they've greased the squeaky wheels a little bit. So that should start to move. So I'm thinking that. But again, we're then back at a 19-team competition. So is the goal 20? And
are they trying to fast track it for a new deal?
Exactly. So we might actually know if it's going to be a 20-team league within the next 12 months, potentially.
Wow.
So, yeah. Team 20, probably second New Zealand.
New Zealand makes sense.
Makes the most sense.
I think.
But again, it depends on your broadcast and what makes the most sense. But for a support from Southern Hemisphere, yeah, that's what it is. So, they're already talking about Amazon, Netflix, again, following very much what the NFL has done and split out there for streaming services and kind of working how that's all going to work and then splitting it between what's free to air and what's, say, Fox Sports. And then also, what does Fox Sports look like with KO and now DAZN, being new ownership of DAZN, how that all fits together. So, yeah, the NRL looking like they're trying to gear up to capitalise on the growth and the eyeballs internationally, et cetera, to try and get some big dollar dues.
Because TV numbers, they're killing it. They actually outperform the AFL sometimes when it comes to TV.
Yeah.
It's just obviously the in-game spectacle, not quite
but
the same
those
as the AFL.
crowd numbers, if you want to follow that point, is very interesting and very different with the AFL basically hammering the league and that. One round and they doubled the two rounds from the NRL. NRL average is about 150,000 people going to games, whereas about 400 plus go to AFL games. Benefit, of course, though, they sell at the MCG regularly.
Yeah, that helps. Having good public service, a good public
system, transport
system going to a ground that's centrally located probably makes sense.
So, probably doesn't make sense for another Sydney team in that regard, and you want to move it elsewhere. Yeah, because the Wars get good support, they get good crowds. Brisbane get good crowds. It'll be interesting to see how they manage that numbers, or whether they just we don't care who shows up, we'll get the eyeballs.
Show me the money.
Yeah, we'll get the eyeballs.
Interesting that he actually sort of leaked there that Disney is interested. He's already said that Disney's interested, and then he's sort of talking about potentially Netflix, Amazon, maybe.
Well, that's also a great businessman there. I've said someone's interested, so if you're also potentially interested,
3 buyers, you're gonna have to pay 20% more. There's definitely 3 buyers confirmed.
Yeah, but logically, 20-team league. Probably reduce the season a little bit because you're getting more games each week.
Yeah, everyone play each other once, and then you should have a couple of rivalry games that you play twice a year.
Yeah, in my head, a 20-team league and 20 rounds kind of makes sense with Origin in the middle. Just
so 19 games.
Yeah.
I think it's too short. I think if you...
so to play 20 games over a 22-round season. Sorry, is what I meant. Each team plays
20
games.
one team twice.
Yes. Like your rivalry, your key rival, you play.
I'd have 3. I'd go to, let's say, a 22. I still agree. I think you could cut a couple of games. Again, the money always sort of wins. They probably won't.
Yeah, but if you go, I think we talked about it. You go the total of overall games that get played.
Yep.
If you add more teams and more games have been played, so you can always bring the rounds down a bit, and it all adds out to what you were currently playing.
Yeah.
So if it's 300 games a season, you want to maintain that 300 games get played, for example. And you kind of work out what that is. But I think the players, if hey, there's more teams coming in, we don't want to have to play every team twice kind of thing and make the season longer.
It's going to be an EPL season.
Yeah, exactly.
So, it looks like it's happening pretty quick. Volandis said during the week it will be a record deal. I won't discuss specific figures. It will be our biggest ever broadcast deal, and it's likely to happen within the next few weeks, is what he said.
Oh, what was that?
Can you get the last one? When was the last one signed, and how much was it? Because... yeah, I think they're going to 5x it, because I feel like it was $500,000. I'm sorry, $500 million. But
let's buy the NRL.
500. It was around the 500 mil mark. I thought the last deal was at. If you can find some deals of that, because I think they're trying to capitalize on the league's general growth, but then it's international growth.
So the 9, so that's for Channel 9.
Yeah, but that's important. So the deal's up in 2 years. So that's the point. They want to get all this done, and it was signed 2 years ago for a 4-year period.
$400 million a year.
400 mil a year. Yeah. So I think they're looking for 3 or 4 times what that was.
billion deal.
Yeah, the billions. Which would be wild to think that the rugby league is now $1 billion enterprise.
Damn. Imagine the
The
plumbers.
bumhole league is funny.
Or the plumbers and the concreters and the brickies in the 80s thinking, oh, fuck, we just couldn't have been born a decade or two later.
That's it.
Well, the whole Super League, like the split, and in the last 25 years, 27 years, the growth in the game is
It's great. It's just growth, isn't it? Australia's growing, the TV audience is growing, and the cash follows.
Yep.
Watch this space. Valandis reckons it's going to happen within the next few weeks. We could be talking about a new massive TV deal in April.
Yeah.
All right, monks. Let's go down south and talk some Aussie rules footy. Thursday night Carlton lost. Let's go to Friday night. So Carlton start 0-2. Look, they didn't play a horrendous game. They were on par with the high-flying Hawks for the first three quarters and then just sort of fell off in the fourth quarter.
That's why I thought they kind of got beaten to the punch in that back half of that game. They're just out enthused, maybe is the way to think of it.
So we're going to talk about Carlton.
Young team.
0-2 this year, but since June 30 last year, since the end of financial year, if you will, last year, the only two teams they've beaten, West Coast and North Melbourne.
Yeah, so 2-8 in that period. Well, 2-8 last year, lost the games this year. So, they've not been good. After their good start last year.
They started 11-4
last year.
Yeah, they were looking like a premiership contender last year, so they're far from that at the moment. Yep. I think shout out to Steam, friend of the show, been on a couple of times, good friend of ours, mad Carlton fan, intergenerational trauma for him. The kicking and disposal efficiency has just been really poor. That's sort of efficiency around 60% on the first 2 weeks.
Yep.
You're not going to win games if...
Not against good teams.
Yeah, 1 in 3 times you touch the ball, you're turning it over. Charlie Curnow looked completely underdone. Got a bit of a bath in this one. Just lacking... options going forward with Charlie, former Coleman medalist, looking a little bit off the pace, and they weren't miles away from it, but they're 0-2, and I suppose the Richmond loss is far more devastating than this one. They were $3 outsiders to win this game, so to be competitive is a reasonable effort, but to drop a 40-point lead against the Tigers the week before. Against a team which was slated to only win a few games is pretty disappointing.
What was the big controversy? Was there a 666 free kick that was meant to be awarded that wasn't?
They're giving warnings apparently. I think we're probably past warnings. It's been a rule, for 5-6
But I think
years.
they were 10 points up front at that point, and get a free, might go down and get another goal, and
and again, look,
but
I don't think you can really blame a 20-point loss on one or two bad decisions. It was greasy conditions as well, like fairly consistent rain throughout the game, and both teams were having difficulties being clean with the footy, but Carlton just seemed to be dropping that many chest marks. Like, you get taught when it is a bit greasy, go to chest, don't go out in front, and that's trying to limit the ability to for you to drop the ball, and they just kept dropping chest marks and then turning it over through. So if you're already turning the ball over a lot through your poor disposal efficiency, and then you're dropping a bunch of chest marks, if you get one or two calls the wrong way, well, you haven't done yourself any favours.
Exactly. You've got to play mistake free to win at that point.
Yeah.
I think they led in both games, though, didn't they? So
led massively in the Tigers game. They never really had a big lead in this game.
Yeah.
So it wasn't so much of a bottle job as the Tigers game, which was a classic bottling, a classic Carlton bottling, really. Look, I suppose the saving grace is, yes, we're looking at, form from last year. It's 2025. Last year's ladder doesn't matter into this year. They're 0-2.
But having said that, have they then returned to form for Carlton, which is you don't win early?
Yeah, we're talking about a few years ago, this podcast been running long enough that we're like, Carlton's in the top 8 after the first round.
They've won 2 games in a row.
We're doing that.
It's the first time in the last decade.
That West Tigers chat that we were doing from the league.
Yeah.
Because it just hadn't happened for a decade. So now we kind of gotten used to Carlton being a bit of a good team. They lose 2 games and all of a sudden there's panic stations.
So, Fossey's head, etc.
Yeah, look, the massive game on Friday night against the Western Bulldogs, who'll be looking to bounce back as well. And look, you don't want to say games are must win in round 3, but it's getting close. It's getting close. They play Collingwood Friday night following.
Again, remember what happened to the Lions last year and the whole Las Vegas shenanigans, and it was about round 10 that they started playing good. So,
Yes, they are long footy seasons. I think when Vossi was under pressure a couple of seasons ago, I was like, stop, this is silly. This is just me.
Wasn't it his first year, though? As well?
Yeah, it was like... he had like
4 games.
10... it was more than that. It was like maybe 10 games. Yeah. And like the media beat up. He's like, he's got to win or he's getting sacked and this and that. And they end up made top 8 for that year. Anyways.
Finished with the Hawks, 3-0. They're top of the table at the moment.
Mate, they're very good.
Yeah. Super young team, and they've drafted really well. And
it's almost frustrating for a team in the Alistair Clarkson, Buddy Franklin era that was so dominant for so long, and then
just turn the roster
they
over.
They clean out house, and they're bad for bad. Like they're not horrendous, but they're sort of bottom 4 type team for 2 seasons, and they just turn it around straight away. Yes. Back into last year, they looked like they could win the comp, and now they're premiership favourites this year, $6. Tom Barras and Josh Battle absolutely bolstered that back 6. On paper, they might have the best back line in the AFL. They have a youthful midfield led by John Newcomb. They're not reliant on one scoring option as they go forward. Marbia Chol was good on the weekend. He looks big. He looks like he's been hitting the gym during the off season, and then they've got this sort of swathe of small forwards led by the Wizard that can punish you when the ball comes to ground when you go forward. Their
window definitely opened.
And it's going to be open for a long time.
Exactly. They're probably in that 4 to 5 year period where they want to capitalise and get a win. Kind of where we were talking about the Lions were 4 years ago. So they're now in that period of let's see if they can win a flag.
They played GWS in Tassie Saturday night. So pretty good test there for 2 of the premier teams in the comp.
Are they building a stadium down there?
Yeah, Hobart they are. Yeah,
in Hobart.
Yeah, so that'll be a Launceston game.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. Friday night, Collingwood spoiled the 100-year anniversary for Footscray just by a goal. This is one where maybe umpiring sort of played into it. Footscray, interesting story. Obviously, 100 years is a long time. Not one of the original VFL clubs, but not that long after. Yep. And there was dire straits for them in the 80s. They were on the verge of administration in the late 80s. They changed the name in 96 to become the Western Bulldogs. They're really trying to sort of buy into, all the western suburbs, where your team. And they did start to find some success, through the late 2000s and obviously into the premiership in 2016, where they broke a really long drought. It's only their second premiership. They had to go back to 1954 for their other one. So celebrating that, commemoratively being Footscray on Friday night, not Western Bulldogs. And then there's a bloke called Nick Dacos. Fuck your anniversary.
He's occasionally good.
Yeah, he's pretty good. He had 39 disposals, 7 marks, 4 tackles, and was close to the difference in this one. Young Sam Darcy looks pretty good. Booted 4. Unusual. They go 3 really tall players. So Tim English in the ruck, Sam Darcy forward but can swing, and then Rory Lobb with the Millhouse haircut. Looked like a bit of Colin Funky Miller, actually. Give a shout out to the late 90s, early noughties, blue hair, bowls spin, bowls medium pace for Australia.
Did they have both Dacoses playing? Double Ds?
Yeah, they had double Ds. What Josh had, he might have had 30-odd as well.
Because I think I saw in round 1 that they both pulled up a bit lame, I think, with hammies, but that might have just been a bit of strain from all the work they were putting in.
Yeah, they didn't look lame in this one, that's for sure. Josh Dacos had 25 in this, so a measly effort compared to his brother. But, I'm sure he's fine to play second fiddle when they're winning.
Yeah, I agree.
Rory Lobb did get Mason Cox with a bit of a
He did.
a bit of a speculator that was probably nowhere near the ball. I think he got reported for that, so we might have to watch this space to see if he gets a few weeks.
Yep.
How about them Bombers?
Yeah, Mark's, two pretty ordinary teams here at the moment. From the Blues to the Bombers. At least the Blues didn't get beat by 61 points. What about the Crows?
Terrible.
This was an interesting stat. The Crows haven't won at the MCG since 2017.
Damn.
So the year that they went to the grand final and obviously got beaten pretty handily by the Tigers.
Yeah.
12 different goal kickers for Adelaide in this one. That's good when you can
We
see.
kicked 25. Yeah. So.
Yeah, but often, a forward or two will kick a big bag. That obviously just means their mids are getting penetration and kicking goals.
Probably a reflection on the Bombers that, they had no go forward and we're just getting
100%.
run over.
It was all in the mids. Like, the Crows just kept on,
Croman.
winning the ball.
Betten Keys, 22 disposals, 4 goals. Joshua Shelley, 16 disposals, 4 goals. Shining light, he's a pretty good player, but Zach Merritt had 36 disposals, 4 goals in a losing effort. That's pretty obscene numbers. I wouldn't be surprised if that's 3 Brownlow votes in a losing effort. But it's early. We'll play that sort of argument. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. But you get dished by 10 goals by a team that hasn't won at that ground for 8 years. It's not quite panic stations, but it's like we're gonna have to have a pretty good week on the track and try and get this season back on track. They play it's a short turnaround. They play Port. It's in Melbourne at least.
Yeah. Do you think the Bombers are that good though? Like I
think on paper, I think they're better than West Coast. I think they're better than Richmond. I think there's an argument they're better than St Kilda. Although last night, who knows? St Kilda beat Geelong. Yep. Again, before today, I would have said they're better than North. But I don't think they're a top 8 team. No.
It might be a long season.
Yeah, could be. It's early days.
It'll be a long season.
Well, you just mentioned Port Adelaide. They took on Richmond and gave them a bit of a hiding as well.
Yeah, this doesn't bode well for Carlton. If Carlton are losing in Melbourne to Richmond and then they go over to Adelaide and lose by 72 points to Port, I suppose Port would have got a pretty good rev up from Ken Hinkley after they themselves got belted by the Pies in week 1. They were just way too good. Kicked 21 goals. Connor Rosie would have had the 3 Brownlows. He had 39 disposals, 2 goals. Georgiadis and Sam Powell-Pepper combining for 7 goals. Massive bounce back for Port Adelaide.
What was the story about the Tigers young gun? What's his name?
Sam Layla.
Yeah, didn't he get his piece out or something?
Yeah, not on purpose.
I'm pretty sure he ended up with a Bonds contract out of that.
I did see that. Yeah, I did see that. So Dustin Martin fan
must have been a half decent piece if that's the case.
Well, if it's escaping from your shorts, it's probably I don't think I never had that problem playing footy. We'll put it that way. But a little bit unfortunate, a little bit hard for the broadcasters as well to sort of.
Was it?
Well, maybe that's conspiracy theory. George Bush did it. He did it. So look, do your own research on that one. I suppose there's an argument that an AFL shorts could be a bit longer. I suppose.
They're that length for a reason.
Good on you, Sam Layla. That's all I can say. Good on you.
Had a good game in that as well.
Number 1 draft.
Yeah,
you need to talk about the footy that he played.
Yeah, he may need to get his piece out more regularly if the Tigers are going to win.
Might get the physio to strap it onto his groins.
Get that aerodynamics.
Yeah, funny. Yeah, not much to laugh about with Richmond's performance in this game, but that's probably more what we expected of Richmond from this season as well. So
can't have the Blues shooting themselves in the foot every week.
Yeah, big bounce back for Port and maybe a bit more of a reality check for the Tigers.
Yep.
This is a massive upset last night. St Kilda beating Geelong by 7 points. They won it all in the first half, essentially, and then it was too little too late from the Cats. Jack McRae, good signing coming across from the Dogs. 35 disposals, 10 tackles, and his other mate, Jack, the tip rat Higgins, 4 goals. St Kilda get a win on the board early, which is good because the people, including myself, are a bit worried about their list this year.
Yes. Do you think Bailey Smith missed out? Any of that kind of led? in the storylines for Geelong. Well, the other thing I saw was Danger stepped down as the player representative, and I think Darcy Moore took over.
Oh, yeah.
But again, I don't think all that stuff should have contributed to Geelong losing this game. And
I think they just got smacked in the mouth. I think St Kilda come out like it was a big lead that they had. I'm just getting the game up here. So going into the half, they had a 5-goal lead. And that pretty much run into 3/4 time, and they were actually just running out of legs, and were maybe saved by the bell a little bit with the Catters coming back. But I only saw highlights of this morning, so analytically probably couldn't give you too much more than that. And I'm just having a look for some of those names there. Danger had 18, pretty quiet game by his lofty standards. No one really to write home about for Geelong.
Yeah, maybe that was
Lawson Humphries. 21-year-old led them for disposals with 22. So I suppose some of their big guns not firing. They did lose Tom Stewart in this one with a knee concern. I think Chris Scott said in the presser that it's nothing too major. He probably had scans today. My feeling was avoided anything nasty. Speaking of avoiding nasty, and also fast starts, Brisbane were able to overcome West Coast. I didn't watch any of this. I was looking at my phone. I texted the boys. What's going on with the West Coast here? They were up massive. They had a 5-goal-1 first quarter. They were still up 4 goals at half time, and then Brisbane just showing the class and
ran them down.
Yeah, being the reigning premiers are able to turn things around when they're playing poor footy. Did you see much or see some highlights?
I didn't see much of this, but I did have a look it up though against their form against them early in the season, and last year they gave up 30 in the last quarter. So West Coast almost ran them down in that game in July. But it was the
opposite.
Yeah, the opposite. But it was the year before where they actually gave up a huge lead as well. But I'm pretty sure they ran them down. So it's whether they're just against West Coast. They just don't come up as G'd up the Lions and
don't give them the respect that
they exactly
they deserve.
And probably need a fake and G up to go, hey, if you want to win this game, you got to get into it. So they showed their class to get back in this and win the game.
Lockie Neal, no stranger to a Brownlow, probably got the 3 votes in this one, 35 disposals and a goal. Three goals each to Callum Archie and Logan Morris. Now, these notes are from earlier today, so North Melbourne did end up beating Melbourne, so massive achievement there for the Kangas. Monks, can you bring up the final score in that one? I feel like it was a pretty handed touch-up there. 125 to 96 for the Kangas. That's a 59-point win. Just maybe scroll down to goals and ball winners. Clayton Oliver, 36 in a losing effort. Caleb Daniel, Tom Powell, both had 30 each. And then goalsies for North. Zerha for Larky and Paul Curtis, 3. That's massive for Kangaroos, and you'd be a bit concerned. I think Melbourne, that just getting old. I think probably their best footy behind them. Without obviously any of us seeing this game or the one after it. But yeah, it's good for the Kangas get their first win out of the road pretty early.
I think they put them in the 8 as well.
Yeah, nice.
But
it's week 2, but anyway. And Freo were
it's not often they're in the 8, bro. Freo
were up against. Oh, that's massive. Yeah. So that would have happened actually just before. So Sydney coming back against Freo to win by 3 points.
Have a look at how close that was in there.
Yeah, give us a look at the timeline. Look at that. That's we've got the old timeline there. Freo led the whole game until there's a little Swans lead there in the third quarter, and then it's really late that the Swans. So yeah, if you've seen this, we haven't. We'll catch some highlights and they'll talk about a pretty gutsy comeback there from the Swans. Maybe at a later date.
Yeah, Swans need a win.
Fucking oath, yeah.
Coming off their hangover.
Well, they were looking at 0-3 if they didn't pull the win out of their ass there. So 1-2 for the Swans. Chad Warner, 26 and a goal. Sort by goals there, if you wouldn't mind, Monks. 2 apiece for Amadi and Hayden McLean.
Talking about contracts, Because Chad Warner reminded me of it, because there's been talk about war chests and things getting prepared for potentially him to say go west. And, there's been recent chats that maybe he'll stay, but then also the Harley Reid chat that there's multiple Victoria clubs with lots of money and want to throw at him, multi-million-dollar player as third year in the league next year?
Yeah, this year's too.
Yeah, yes, he's been really fucking good, but there's already talk about he's not going to see out his current deal, and he'll be back in Victoria in a hot minute.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a bit of developing story throughout the year. It was already speculated last year, and
speculated before he was drafted that he didn't want to be out there. So,
and we talk about big contracts and long end contracts.
Yeah, they're already talking, a 10-year contract for him and millions of dollars.
I haven't heard anything new, if I'm being completely honest. I'm just looking at where he played his junior footy. Bendigo. I wonder who he supported growing up as well. That often plays into things.
Collingwood? No, not there.
Played games for Essendon and Carlton in the VFL. That's pretty impressive. That would have been as a 16 or 17-year-old. Yeah, nothing new, I don't think. Harley Reid mania. He was on the back page of the West Australian 25 times, including 17 days in a row before he played a game, leading to questions as to whether the media scrutiny was excessive. I would say that's...
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah, did anything happen in the Sheffield Shield or something one of those days? I don't know. How the Perth Wildcats go. Look, I think we're blowing some, on that fire.
There's a bit of smoke there. I want to see what's happening.
I think it'll be spoken about throughout the year.
Yes, yeah, agree.
With Harley. And then Chad, is an interesting one as well, going the other direction.
Yes.
Chad Warner news, we'll see. Chad is what Chad is. Dean Cox won't pressure Warner into a deal. No rush on off-contract star. Swans vow to shun arrogant mistake. Dane Rampy says off-contract teammate Chad Warner won't be rushed into recommitting as the winless Swans prepare to play Fremantle. This is all just going to be hearsay. Watch this space, I would say.
All season long.
Headlines.
So we'll have to see how those guys play with that, not pressure, but they have the media headlines following around all season.
What's that? I got this in my hit piece. Oh, breaking news. Harley Reid has been traded for Chad Warner. They're doing a direct swap. No, it's all good. It's going to be hearsay, I think, and watch this space as the season plays out.
It's not a bad shout, though. You get a third team involved. Harley goes to Victoria. Someone from Victoria goes to Sydney, and then Warner goes across. If it happens, you heard it here first on the Esky.
Talk about UFOs and fucking pyramids next to it.
If you want. I did see that they found a whole bunch of giant underground civilization under the pyramids, but I'm not sure if that's bullshit or not.
I don't know what to believe. Aliens.
Yeah. Confirmed the underground alien civilization under the pyramids.
The only pyramids I want to see is 3 in a row at the club, mate. Let's go. All right. That's enough of that. Let's quickly run through the ladder. Hawthorn stand alone on top, 3-0, 12 points. This ladder is going to be all over the place because we've got a few teams in opening round, a few teams that were meant to play opening round that didn't, that have played one game. But let's run through it. Adelaide, GWS, Collingwood, Brisbane, all on 8 points. Then the Suns, who have played one game, lead the teams on 4 points, which there is a bunch. They include Gold Coast, Geelong, North Melbourne, Western Bulldogs, Sydney Swans, Port Adelaide, St Kilda, Richmond. And then the winless teams, Carlton, Melbourne, Essendon, Fremantle, West Coast. Any big matchups next week? We did speak about Carlton getting close to must win.
Lions Geelong, I saw there. Scroll up.
That's that's the one that got canned, wasn't it? They moved it to round 3, the Brisbane Geelong game.
Yep.
Essendon and Port on
Derby
Thursday night.
Derby?
Yeah, what do we decide? I think it's a derby.
Derby, bro.
Put another shimper. Derby. Carlton, Western Bulldogs, Melbourne Gold Coast, St Kilda, Richmond, Hawthorn. That's a big game. Hawthorn, GWS. Brisbane, Geelong's a big game. Adelaide played North. They could be 3-0. And
Collingwood gets the bye, do they? Yeah, okay.
With a few. Collingwood, Geelong, and Sydney.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And that concludes us for the AFL. Talk some cricket.
Ooh, Trevi Head. 42 from 17, it's not bad.
Yeah, the IPL kicked off last night. We currently have
Snuck up on us, I reckon.
Yeah, it has a little bit. Well, I always have in my head April for the IPL. April.
I was telling Jimmy
Yeah, we
the
were
same
talking
thing.
about that today.
It was just like, it felt like April. And I wonder if it was because of the Aussies maybe didn't get as much hoopla, say, through the draft sort of system. I don't think, is Davey Warner going around? Maybe, I don't think so. So, yeah, whether it's just gone on the radar a little bit after the summer.
See, all the guys that were injured for Champions Trophy have all magically rehabbed and recovered.
Yeah. I think if I had
amazing
plenty
what
of
a couple
pineapples.
100,000 can do for
Yeah,
you.
exactly. Showing up, my legs would feel much better.
The best physio and strength and conditioning in the world is just having an upcoming IPL.
Yeah.
Anyways, we've got Sunrisers playing Rajasthan right now. Travis Head is actually batting as we speak and has just hit another one to the boundary there. He's on 46 off 18, I think that is when that... Yeah, 46 off 18. So could be seeing a Travis special. Sunrisers 1 for 94 off 6 overs, if you don't mind. So we might be continuing the trend of big scores from the 2024 IPL.
What was the high score?
Yeah.
They broke 300, didn't they, a couple times last year, didn't they?
I don't think it was 300. Get that, monks. But
Maybe
I
it
think
was 280,
Yeah, it was like
290.
280 maybe. I feel like it. Yeah, it was
High
like,
scores and IPL.
it was
please.
stupid, like just
Yeah, stupid.
stupid scores. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think I've got 280 in my head.
283.
283.
Or 27, sorry.
So grab all of that, yes, and can you bring that up on the, or I can read across from there. I feel like it was like 3 or 4 of the highest ever were last season. Yeah.
Scroll it down.
Monks is just bringing up the ESPN quick info here and scrolling it out a little bit. Sweet. All right, so
TV's not big enough.
that's all right. So Sunrisers 3 for 280,
top 4 all last
87.
year. Actually, no, the top 10.
No, top 4.
No,
there's one
there's
2013
one.
in there.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, I'm saying in the top 10 there's
So
one that isn't.
8 of the top 10 are from last year. So make of that of what you will. Highest score of
Or
which
250 plus.
was 287 for Sunrisers Hyderabad. There was also scores last year alone of 277, 272, 266, 262 a couple times, 261, 257. So obscene scores there in the IPL last year, and it looks like they're on track for 250 plus here if they keep going the way that they're started.
Sunrisers have broken the code.
Wouldn't mind saying big 100 from Travis Head to kick off. Father of India, father in India as well. Royal Challengers Bangalore got a win to kick off the season last night against KKR. A few runs for Rahane. Josh Hazelwood pretty good with the ball. 2 for 22. Richie Beno numbers there. But Virat and Phil Salt too good. RCB winning by 7 wickets last night in game 1. We've got a team lists here. We'll just quickly go through where the Aussies are, captains, head coaches, etc.
Yep.
Chennai Super Kings, captain Ruturaj Gaikwad, Stephen Fleming, head coach, Nathan Ellis, the only Aussie there. Be interesting to see if he gets any regular sort of game time. Obviously, they're limited over there by the 4 foreign players that can play each game. Yep. They've got some big names, including MS Dhoni, Raji Jadeja, Ravi Ashwin, Shivan Dubey, and Sam Curran. Marcus, can you just see how old MS Dhoni is? I feel like he's in his 40s. I wonder.
I'm going to guess 39.
Yeah, 39. I reckon he's older than that. I reckon he's 41. Let's see. Split straight down the middle, 40. He's 43.
Damn.
Yeah. That's old, man. It's like, oh, well, George Foreman was boxing at 48, so,
Yeah, true.
you know. Who knows?
He's just got to swing the cricket bat over Brown a few times.
True that, true that.
No quick singles.
No, absolutely no signal. Delhi are led by Akshar Patel. I don't actually know this guy. Hemang Badani is their head coach. Fair turnover from the days when we were Delhi Capitals #1 fans.
Is that his first year coaching? Is he taking over from Ricky?
Yeah, because Ricky's gone over to Punjab.
There you go.
And we might have to
Switch.
cut ties with Delhi Capitals and jump on Punjab because Punjab's loaded with Aussies. We'll talk about them in a second. I imagine Ponting had something to do with that. But Badani, does he have coaching experience before? No, not at an IPL level. There's all domestic competition stuff there, I think. But yeah, I can't see any IPL teams there for coaching.
Just playing in the NFL.
Yeah.
So we'll see how he goes. In charge of Delhi Capitals, Axar Patel with the captaincy. They're pretty handy list. Faf is there, Karen Nair, Kale Rahul, and then two Aussies who are sort of in different worlds at the moment. Mitch Stark, who seems to be in the best form of his life at 35, 36. And then a young fella, Jake Fraser-McGurk, who we spoke about so highly sort of 18 months ago. Next big thing, a lot of pressure and just hasn't quite lived up to it just yet. So nice opportunity for him if he's regularly playing again. Might be a bit of an if there to try and get some runs under his belt. Gujarat Titans, they're captained by Shubman Gill. Ashish Nehra is their head coach. 0 Aussies, but a few big names in Josh Butler, Rashid Khan, Glenn Phillips, Kasigo Rabada. From an Indian perspective, not heaps. Gill, obviously the captain. They got Washington Sundar, Prasidh Krishna. So they'll be sort of relying on their whichever 4. I think they go from an international perspective. They've got some handy South African quicks there. Josh Butler, one of the premier top order bats in T20 cricket to sort of get them going. Kolkata, they're captained by Ajinkya Rahane, another fellow I'm not really familiar with in their head coach in Chandrakant Pandit. And then from a playing perspective, Moeen Ali, Quinton de Kock, Spencer Johnson, Sunil Nareen, Anrik Nokia, Hashit Rana is there for the Indians. Andre Russell's picking their 4 internationals going to be difficult. Spencer, I hope he's playing regularly there, although with those internationals might be hard. You'd say de Kock, Russell, Ali are probably all 4. Are probably 3 of the 4. Nook, he may struggle. He may struggle to get game time. Lucknow playing with Rishabh Pant at the helm and coached by Justin Langer. They're quite Indian heavy in Akash Deep and Shabazz Ahmed. And then internationally, they have Shamar Joseph, Adam Markram, the Bison goes over to Lucknow. David Miller's a very good player, Nicholas Puran. Mumbai always very strong on paper. They've got Hardik Pandya, the skip, and head coach Mahela Jayawardena. Trent Bolt, Jasprit Bumrah, that's pretty handy quicks. Surya Kumar Yadav, Rohit Sharma, they've got some good Indian top order bats that they just don't have any Aussies. The team that I want to talk mostly about was Punjab. Captained by Shreyas Iyer, Ricky Ponting goes across. Can you check if this is Punter's first year at Punjab? I'm fairly certain it is. Pretty sure. And there's a wealth of Australian talent that he's brought over there. How many of them are actually going to get to play at the same time? 4 max, and probably limited even by Lockie Ferguson and Marco Janssen being there. But Glenn Maxwell's there, Marcus Stoinis is there, Josh Inglis, who we've seen have his international success recently, Aaron Hardy, Xavier Bartlett, all there at Punjab. So expect to see at least 2 Aussies in the lineup each game for Punjab. You get Punter there, mate?
Just watching Sandeep get whacked by a loose one.
Should we do an update on Sunrisers? How are we? We're 1 for 102 after 7 overs. Ishan Kishan, is he going to get caught? Well, we've got... no, he's not. He's not. So another boundary there. So 106 off the first 7 overs here. They're going at 15 and over. There's a lot of orange flags flying around. Travis Head's 49 off 20. Ishan Kishan going well for Sunrisers. Whilst we're talking about Sunrisers, they're captained by Pat Cummins and Dan Vittori's the head coach. Travis Head obviously getting his season off to a good start, and Adam Zampa's there too. So for Aussies, David Warner's old team in Sunrisers.
Is Zamps going to get?
He should play. I see if he's out. If he's listed to today, I would
just
think
if they go Head and Cummins that take up 2 spots
2 already. From an international perspective, Kamindu Mendes. But they've got some good Indian talent, like Harshal Patel, Nitish Kumar Reddy, who we saw in the Test series going all right, Mo Shami, Abhishek Sharma. Yeah, see if Zamp's got a nod for tonight. What other teams have we got? Rajasthan, who they're playing. That's a nice little segue. Captained by Sanju Samson, head coach Rahul Dravid. No Aussies, but they got Jofra Archer, Wanindu Hasaranga, Shimron Hetmeyer should be all playing. And Nitish Rana and YB Jaiswal, young fellow. We just saw him on screen before. And the RCB, who played last night, Coley's team, they're actually captained by Patadar this year with Andy Flower being the head coach. Look out for the Aussies, Josh Hazelwood, Tim David. Sunrisers team today, Abhishek Sharma, Travis Head, Ishan Kishan, and then Reddy, Klaasen, Verma, Manohar, Cummins, Simanjit Singh, Harshal Patel, Mo Shami. So no space for Zamps there. Their internationals would be Travis Head, Henrik Klaasen, Pat Cummins. They may have only gone 3. Interesting.
Okay. Travis Head does get his 50
Head
with a single.
Boo. I want 6s and nothing else. So look, from an Aussie perspective, Punjab, keep your eyes on them. Sunrisers, keep your eyes on them. It'd be interesting to see how Justin Langer's luck now goes. Want Jake Fraser McGurk to make some runs. He's been pretty dry recently. But then in terms of the tournament and the direction of the IPL, it certainly would seem, given last season having 8 out of 10 of the highest IPL scores ever, and then what we've seen in the first 7 overs here, runs, bet the overs.
Yep.
We'll keep an eye on it as the pod unfolds. When's our Shield final? Is that next week, Em?
Yeah, confirm a date for us. It's been a bit of interesting news for the Shield final, mainly due to Usman going to the F1 and being shown on the broadcast because he was there. I saw Aaron Finch was there too on the Martin Brundle's grid walk. Martin Brundle had no idea who they were, so they didn't get interviewed. But he was like, "Oh, that's Usman."
They might actually like that.
Yeah, but what's interesting out of that is he was there and not playing for Queensland because they had a game, which they then ended up drawing, I think, with Adelaide, which confirmed they'd make the final. Yes. But then it came a whole lot of he said, she said about I had a hamstring injury. Cricket Australia knew about it. All the Queensland physios knew about it. The Queensland club president, let's call him, was saying things that was like, we didn't know he had a hamstring injury. It's the first we heard of it. We expected him to be playing. So, it was just like, well, who do you believe? And I think Usman talking to Cricket Australia is probably where the communication breakdown maybe happened, that Queensland maybe didn't know 100% about it because he'd probably go through them more than he would the Queensland stuff. But maybe you send the Queensland physio quick text and say, hey, my hammy's bad, I'm going to F1. There was a big hoopla about that, and he had to do a press conference to kind of cover him off. And he said he's happy to play for Queensland, to play in this upcoming final against Adelaide, which is now
South Australia, dude.
Yeah, South Australia, sorry. It was meant to be in Adelaide. South Australia playing in Adelaide because they won the rights to host the final. But now they can't play it at Adelaide Oval because the AFL's playing there.
Big dictum.
Yeah, and basically, exactly. Big Brother them and said, no, you can't get a pitch in within 5 days. It'll stuff up our game. So, no, you can't do that. So, they're now playing it at...
Karen Rolton, probably.
Yeah, North... there you go. Oval. So, it won't... Well, Sheffield Shield doesn't really get big crowds anyway, but it's not the Adelaide issue. Yeah, it's not a capacity issue, but it's not the Adelaide Oval as well. But it'd be interesting to see if Usman lines up for him or not. Likelihood is South Australia will dick them anyway because they've been playing excellent.
Yeah, look, it's cricket.
Yeah,
they have been the best team in domestic cricket this year by
Alex Carey's playing for them, yes?
Yeah, he should be. I don't think he's in the IPL.
Yeah, he scored a ton in that game. I think that last game against Queensland as well. So he's been in a bit of good form.
That starts the 26th, which is Wednesday.
Yep.
That's incorrect on cricket.com. So I don't think the game's going for 6. So they got the 26th and the 31st, which is 6 days inclusive. So I don't think.
Oh, did that?
They may have a rain day.
Yeah, they do that thing where they lock. I'm pretty sure we talked about this. They lock in a day just in case it rains, so they get out for the final.
Yeah, but it's a 4-day competition, so that should be.
They've got 2 days.
I don't know about that. I reckon that's a typo. Or some apprentice that doesn't.
Let's go back up.
Doesn't know how inclusive days work.
Let's go back up. Yeah, so it says it there as well.
Yeah. But on Cricket Info, it says 26 to 30. And I trust these guys over. These guys are the proper nerds, the proper cricket nerds. Yeah. Anyways, we'll see if there's if there's some rain or whatever. Yeah, I think it's a typo. Top run scorer in the Sheffield Shield this season was Jake Weatherald, which is interesting. 906 runs at an average of 50, playing for Tasmania. He had 300s. Hilton Cartwright was very good for WA, 861 at 57, and Curtis Patterson in just 14 innings had 743 at 57. So well done to those guys with the sticks.
These two will probably call out Constance and Kerry, based on what I said before. Constance only played the 9.
Constance had 9 games, 652 runs
40?
at 40.75. Interesting, his strike rate there, 54. So playing more of a traditional style, I guess, rather than what we saw Boxing Day.
Yeah, it was interesting because when he came back, he was playing that style, but I think he might have eased it off in the end.
Yeah, he had one 3 weeks ago where he got out to Scott Boland and it just looked stupid. Yeah. But he had 100 for New South Wales in a one day game, which was looked technically brilliant.
Yes.
So yeah,
young fella working on his things, trying some stuff out.
I do wonder how much of it is just him just playing his natural game, or how much of it is the coach just saying, "Yeah, all right, we're happy for you to try and take it to the bowler." Alex Carey, definitely worth highlighting. 8 innings, 612 runs at an average of 87, and striking at 77 with 300s. So there was only 4 guys that made 300s. Jake Lehman, Henry Hunt, Jake Weatherald, Alex Carey. Of those guys, Alex Carey had the least innings by far.
Do you think there's ever the thought that he needs to be moved up the order? And then I just thought about this, and it's like, well, they probably had the exact same conversation with Gilly that, why leave him so far down the order if he's going to play bat as well as he is? But do you really want...
He got the opportunity to bat 6 game in Sri Lanka. I don't know if he needs to go much higher than that. He's good enough to
yeah, that's the point. Is that to give more opportunities to move him up, but the same conversation.
But what are you going to do?
You've got guys there.
Pop him ahead of Smith and Head.
Yes.
I can see the argument for him batting 6 more regularly. But whilst we've got the current Australian lineup, he's not going to bat 4 or 5.
I agree.
Yeah. Going over the bowlers, Fergus O'Neill has been really good the last 2 Shield seasons. He had equal most poles with 38 at 21. And Corey Roccaccioli.
Same cousin.
Yeah, pretty much. It's him, Joe Burns, and me on the Italian cricket team. I wouldn't make it. He had 38 wickets at 27. So
run some waters.
That was the standouts. Yeah, I'll run some grappa out for the boys and a few red vinos and do a few of these. Hey! Shield final starts Wednesday. South Australia looking to get both the Shield and the one day wrapped up. I'm fairly sure that South Australia, in the history of the Sheffield Shield, very old tournament, have only got 4 Sheffield Shield winners by state.
Schumer's been heavily dominated.
New South Wales dominated. Queensland have a fair few. Yeah. Victoria have a fair few.
East Coast dominated. We had it there. 47 for New South Wales, 32 for Victoria.
Queensland only have 9.
Yeah, Western Australia.
Mate, loser state.
Yeah.
So 40. So this is the Shield. This goes back to the 1890s. New South Wales have 47. Victoria have 32. So they're the big 2 when it comes to cricket. WA punch above their weight with 18, and South Australia actually have 13. But they haven't had a Shield title since 95-96, so 30 years since South Australia has won the Sheffield Shield.
Yeah,
so
you got to say Western Australia pretty good there, considering they started 50 odd years later than the other 3.
Yeah, that's right.
South Australia.
They're late to the party
compared to the other 2 bigger brothers at the same period of starting.
Western Australian batsmen, but pretty synonymous as well. There's a period there when, from the Australian team, we just spoke about Gilly, but you had Damien Martin, you had Justin Langer, then you went into this period of Mike Hussey and Sean Marsh and Marcus North and all these Adam Voges, this elite state at pumping out bats. Probably less historically regarded in terms of bowling talent, but certainly from a batting perspective, WA.
So have they got three on? Did they have three in a row there as well? Because Queensland was the last one to win it before them in 2021.
Let's have a look. They won it last year, I'm pretty sure, didn't they? List of Sheffield Shield finals. And I think I think a lot of New South Wales success is old success as well.
Yes.
Same article. Here we go. Yeah. It's an old competition, isn't it? Yeah, so three-peat for WA, so that won't happen. They come last this year. And South Australia had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spoons leading into slowly climbing the ladder.
Scroll a bit further. There's got to be a New South Wales dominance here if they've won 47 at some point.
Would be old dominance, I would think.
Yeah, even further there.
Yeah, here we go. So,
in the 50s.
So 53 to 62, New South Wales won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in a row. That's post Bradman, although Bradman paid for both New South Wales and South Australia. And then a lot of the pre-World War II stuff is New South Wales.
And pre-World War I as well.
And it was only a 4-team comp until WA come in 47, 48, so post-World War II, call it, and then Tassie come in 77, 78. And the comments will be in next year, bro. All right, watch this space. Shield final starts Wednesday. Probably doesn't go for 6 days. All right, should we talk some NBA?
Yes.
Curry sets, fires, puts it up, bang!
Got his 4,000th career 3.
He did, Steph Curry. We'll get to him in just a second. I'm conscious of the time as well, so we might just fly through. Cavs had a 14-game win streak, but then they've lost 4 in a row. Donovan Mitchell actually said in a presser, he said, when your leader ain't doing shit, this is what happens. He's pretty critical of his own play. It's always good when your harshest critic is yourself. Yep. They're $2.80 to win the whole thing. It's looking more and more likely that it'll be a Celtics-Cavs Eastern Conference Finals.
I feel like they're way ahead of everyone else in that division.
Celtics 4-game win streak. It'll be interesting to see if they do what the bookies have expected them to do all year. They're $1.67 to win the East. It's going to be interesting then as we come through the middle here and who can actually compete with them. Pacers and Knicks, other way around, Knicks, Pacers, 3rd, 4th. Jalen Brunson done his ankle a few weeks ago. He's still to miss another week. And then the Pacers sit there in 4th. Bucks 5th. Pistons 6th. Pistons
for Pistons?
Yeah, well, they're 5 games ahead of Hawks now. Yep. So with only 10-ish games to go, we're going to see Pistons in the NBA playoffs, which is good for the people of Detroit. I don't think we're going to see them do anything too, unbelievable. But yeah, they'll be there. Yep. Travis Hedges get out.
Yes.
Yeah, 67.
Yep.
Hawks 7th. This is the play-in sort of area. Magic 8th. Magic are blown out. They're not going super well. Bulls 9th. Josh Giddey today went close to a quadruple double. 15 points, 10 rebounds, 17 assists, 8 steals, and got pulled out of the game early because they pumped the Lakers in Los Angeles. So could you imagine the headlines if he actually pulled off the quad double?
Been very good.
Yeah.
Heat it done. They've had a 10-game losing streak. I think Jimmy Bucket's leaving was the nail in their coffin. Yep. Another team that's also done 76ers. Did you have a Joel Embiid update there, Monks?
I think they shut him down, didn't they?
That was old news.
They've shut Paul George down as well, haven't they?
They're both done for the year?
Yeah, I think they're all done for the year.
Quinn and Grimes been playing all right?
Yeah.
Yeah, very disappointing year.
I think there was a story about they're going to be investigated for not playing them, but I think that's then shutting them down.
They have weird rules around that. Yeah. Like if you're not injured but you're not playing, like you can get investigated.
Yeah, so I think that's why they've come out and said no, they're both done. The season's over.
76ers face season-ending injuries as Paul George and Joel Embiid exit.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they're done, both of them.
Embiid's going to be interesting to watch because they're very much worried about his knees.
Yeah, like long term.
Yeah.
Which is
I don't think it's career threatening at this stage, but they're definitely worried about it.
So he got rushed fast tracked after a meniscectomy or meniscus repair. I can't remember which one it was, but back end of last year, had work on his meniscus done and was like back in like 4 weeks, which is like fucking crazy turnaround, even for an elite athlete. Got through the playoffs, but then I think all the off-season sort of talk was like, what's the long-term repercussions of coming back this quickly in a 7-footer who has notoriously bad knees as it is?
Yeah, I can't remember if they're worried about the arthritis in his knees and things like that.
I think he's going to have arthritis pretty much.
Regardless.
Yeah,
but
regardless.
whether it gets fast-tracked because...
How old is he? 30?
Yeah, because
31 maybe?
That was what killed Todd Gurley's career, essentially, for the NFL was arthritis in his knees. And we're talking about a running back that's not 7 foot tall, so...
Yeah, he's 31.
I suppose load for a running back though is kind of different. But yeah, you're right. It's he's not 7 foot.
And he's 30.
Crazy.
He's been out of the leigh like 4 or 5 years.
Shout out to Todd Gurley, actually defending champ, fantasy football over here. show us when that Peps Mongrels gets engraved, mate, on the trophy. I'm looking forward to it. Todd Gurley is 30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, bro was the offensive player in the year in 2017, and his last year as a Ram was 2019. I've kind of forgot that he had that fake sort of season at the Falcons, but has essentially been out of the league for 5 years.
Yep.
Injuries, man. Crazy.
Yeah. But, it's going to that point, arthritis in knees is nothing to fuck around with.
Well, Tamalolo was talking about before as well, back end of his career and, the repeated load.
Same thing. They're worried about his knees and they're managing his minutes because of it.
Yeah,
so for Embiid, if you're going to potentially push to win the competition, then it's going to be hard. It'll be interesting to see what the 76ers do going forward.
I wonder if they might try and get him out the door, which seems to have been the chat all year. Try and get overs for him, and then the team that brings him in, you're probably not expecting to have MVP caliber Embiid. You're getting a serviceable,
but you're getting top 5 centre.
Well, not even expecting him to be, because he hasn't been a top 5 centre this season.
Well, he hasn't played, so
but even when he is playing, I don't know if he
just hasn't been his best.
Yeah, I don't think I would have him in the top 5 centres when he's been healthy this year, which is a shame because we all know what the talent that he's got.
Yeah, and was it 2 years removed from being MVP?
Yeah. Yeah, so...
Comes at you fast.
It does. It does come at you fast. He'll have the best specialists, the best orthopedics, the best strength and conditioning people looking after him, and hopefully can get his career back on track. And yeah, like you said, Monks, he's only 31. I think it's a sort of a rough comparison, getting the Todd Gurley comparison out, because you're not getting the high impact kind of stuff on your knees as getting hit by an NFL defender, but in terms of repetition,
yes, he's still getting significant load as being a big man.
Yep, and the length of the NBA season and the fact that he doesn't play 60 games, let alone 82 games. It's just the attrition on those knees is going to be something to watch moving forward.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Did you want to give a Dylan Dyson? Sorry.
Dyson Daniels?
Yeah. Dyson
I was like, who the fuck are we talking about now?
Dylan
Brooks?
No, Dylan Dallas is the MMA guy.
He's the guy that talks heaps of shit.
Yeah, he's fighting KSI in a couple of weeks. Yeah. I didn't put that in the
vacuum.
notes. Yeah.
Dyson Vacuum Daniels.
Stormy
Daniels.
Dyslexia.
Alex Dyson, formerly of Triple J. How many steals has he got?
Yeah, because I think he's actually up his numbers a little bit.
Stormy Daniels got one good steal. Like it was like it was a big steal. Generational steal. She wasn't out there night in, night out, putting up 8 steals a game. But the steal that she had was a steal of significance. An election swinging steal, if you will, for Stormy Daniels. Max. Dyson Daniels is
Daniels,
please, for steals. I think when I saw a graphic maybe like a week ago, and like they already had him like for like best seasons ever. Like he's like in like the top 20 or something for season steals. I think he's going to have the best steals season for like the last 15, 20 years. And as we've spoken about throughout the season, He's not going to get the steals record,
No.
but it's going to be a steely season of note.
Yeah, I have seen that it looked like he upped his numbers since our last potty. Like his last 15 games, he was averaging like 4 or 5, and he had like 7 in one game.
Yeah, I
so
saw that.
so he had I think boosted a little bit, but yeah, he might not still end up with a record.
So he still is averaging 3 steals per game.
Pretty standard throughout the year, hasn't it?
Yep, yeah, and he's currently on 197.
Going to hit the 200 this week. And I feel like I'm speculating. This is pretty easy to find. Most deals in NBA history was like 250, 260.
I thought 280.
280. Maybe it was 300.
I didn't think it was quite 300. I think it was just under it.
He's
Anyway,
not going to get it, and we've known that for a while. But it's going to be a good season from a steals perspective. That's Korea.
Yeah. While you find that out, we'll finish up the Raptors and the Nets. Raptors kind of reverse tanking, won 8 games straight since the last pod, and the Nets also won 3 games since All-Star break.
Nah, they've only won 3.
Only won 3 games. Sorry,
3,
yes.
Yeah, so they're going the other way. Hornets and Wizards will finish 14th, 15th. They're all just playing for draft picks, essentially.
Let's talk about the fun division.
Fun
conference. Sorry.
Well, we did all that chat to probably look at the Cavs and Celtics
Celtics,
playing for the Eastern Conference Finals. I still think the Bucks on their day could maybe upset a team.
I agree. I think there's some teams in there that are like, they might upset. But again, they're the powerhouses, and everyone else is playing catch up.
And we saw everyone ride off the Pacers last year, and then they went deep. But again, are the Pacers good enough to win the East?
Yeah.
Are the Knicks good enough
There's
to
always
win the
that
East?
team that gets momentum, but
Probably.
from what we've seen so far, it's those two are heads and above everyone else.
How'd you go? You got season by season there.
Yeah.
Larry,
How's that?
Larry
Yeah.
Steele.
How's that?
So 73-74, the NBA steal leader was Larry Steele.
Did he? Maybe he legally changed his name.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Well, what's the total number there, by the way?
Or James rebound and Michael assist also top their categories.
LeBron dunk.
Not a scored statistic, mate.
Yeah.
Jordan actually had a fair few, hey? Yes. Alvin Robinson, it was 301.
301, just over 300.
So what was he on? 197. So, and they got 10 games left, so let's give him 230.
Yep.
So is that a top 10 ever? No.
230.
No. It's like going to be like a top 20.
Yeah. Can you just check Steele there whether he did change his name or not? I'd love to see if he had a different birth name.
Well,
it wasn't spelled the same.
It's not spelled the same.
Oh,
yeah. It's a Steel.
Right.
Yeah.
Steele. Portland Trailblazers.
I reckon him changing his name has got about as much chance as Stormy Daniels getting the Steel in the NBA. All right, the fun
division. Thunder clinched. They
Thunder,
clinched the one spot. No one can take it.
Yeah, they're 12 games ahead.
Yeah.
We've got the jersey up.
Too good. Way too good.
It's interesting because the last few years, it's like the West is wide open. You know, there's heaps of good teams. And yes, on paper, there's heaps of good teams. The team that keeps performing head and shoulders above anyone else.
Super young. Super dominant.
SJ is essentially the MVP, although Joker will get to him in just a second. Miles ahead. They're $1.90 to win the West.
Yep.
Rockets are in second. 9-game win streak have shot up a little bit since the last pod. 46-25. Alperen Şengün doing his thing. And then the Nugs sitting third. $6.50 to win the West. Have won 44 games. Joker, it was a couple of weeks ago, but let's talk about it. We haven't potted since. Had a 30-20-20. It's never been done ever in NBA history. So he had 31 points, 21 rebounds, 22 assists. That was an assist record for him. He's achieved the other two. Well, obviously he gets 31 points, 99 out, but he's had 21 boards before. And there was a bit of a caveat in that it was an overtime win against Phoenix.
Yeah.
He is averaging a triple-dub.
Yeah.
His numbers are better than all his MVP seasons.
Yes.
Is this, again, just a case of the blokes won too much and we need another guy? Or is SGA legitimately the best player in the league?
Just on those numbers, so of those other 3 MVP seasons, he was just under like a triple-double. Like he'd be missed like 1 assist. Like he'd average a 9.
So his assists are up this year.
Yeah, so his assists are up this year. Caveat to that, missing games, whether that average then comes down a little bit. So I haven't got anything updated recently, but yeah, as of like a week ago, he was averaging a triple-double he's averaging like 29 points, which is higher than his previous 3 MVPs. Rebounds about the same. He maybe a little slightly down on compared to those seasons, but assists then up to then average that total number. So, yeah, he's been really, really good. And, yes, he's not going to win be the total points man, but he dominates all the other statistics that, say, SGA doesn't get.
No.
So, yeah, again, it could be another one of those things where, well, even the year Embiid won, he probably could have won that year too, based on the numbers he had that season. So it kind of feels like, you'd either give it to Joker or give it to whoever's as good, maybe slightly better, or maybe, someone that's not Joker.
Joker can't win it every year.
Does the fact that the Thunder have won 14 more games than the Nuggets play into it at all?
Yeah, probably. Yes.
He's the best player on the best team.
Yes. I think that plays into it a little bit as well.
Has to, yeah.
32.9 points. So he's got the Joker handedly covered for points. But then every other statistic, Joker has him except for steals. So 5 boards, 6 assists, 1.8 steals. Interesting that Joker's actually on par there. That's just a push.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of statistics, Joker has him covered in boards and assists.
You had it there before. He's averaging 29 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists. So
maybe more boards, I think. It won't be hard to find. Denver is here. 29.1, 12.8 boards, and 10.3 assists.
Yeah. Which is better than his previous 3 MVPs.
Yeah.
So
he's averaging
if you compare it to himself,
he's
doing
averaging
better.
a triple-double and averaging 1.8 steals as a big, which is pretty insane in itself.
Yeah. So, yeah, of course, wins, I think, will play a factor in it, but individually is most valuable player. It's a tough. I think it's a better.
Where you come from.
It should be a tougher conversation than it is, I reckon.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
I'll get you some odds.
SGA can win it this year, and then Joker will win it next, and we'll go back to.
And SGA has been playing his best basketball by far.
Yes.
But the fact that he's just super improved this year shouldn't really play into MVP numbers. I think that the argument is winning 14 games, like being the best team and leading your team to clinch a one spot 10 games out from the season finishing is why his odds are as short as they are. $1.10 for SGA, $6 for the Joker, and then it blows out. The only other guys that you can bet on are the Greek Freak and Jason Tatum at 401s. So 2-horse race with SGA being the short price favourite.
Yeah. I've seen that conversation though with like LeBron, like some of LeBron's seasons.
Yeah, he probably should have won.
He
some
probably
MVPs,
should have won some, but
more,
because he's LeBron, like he'd already done it, and we already knew how good he was. So, but if you hold him to his own standard, it's.
How crazy is that? SGA has more blocks. That's only in their games head-to-head, though.
Yeah, it's head-to-head. Sorry, that's head-to-head. It's not.
So it's not a... Yeah.
Yeah, I have seen the
It's failed me.
the regular season. Yeah, that might be the one you want.
See, I think that's just their head-to-head games. Anyways, doesn't matter.
Yeah. Don't worry. You already talked through most of it anyway.
Yeah. There had been some talk about SGA being a bit of a free-throw merchant because he's got almost double the amount of free throws a Joker gets. But I also think that's because
because he's good in the paint?
Yeah, exactly. He's so quick that they just grab him. So he's definitely winning those fouls. And I guess Joker as a big man probably doesn't get as many because he's a big dude.
Yeah. And he runs
got to take more bumps. Exactly. He dishes out more bumps, so he's going to take a few more.
Should we talk about the Lakers?
Yes. This will be good.
LeBroncic, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Looking all right there.
When's LeBron back? That's probably he's been missed
He played today.
He played today, so it's back today. Good.
Yeah. I was thinking about that. I was like, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Did he get injured again?
No, he's sweet. He's sweet. So the games that him and Luka have played together, looking pretty crazy.
They're pretty good. They start off slow, but they've got their chemistry, and then they've been dominant. So, they've been flying up the boards. Great trade for them. Unlucky for the Mavs.
He'll talk about that. See LeBron and Stephen A getting into it last weekend, I think it was.
Talk about my son, etc.
Yeah, so I think that's what LeBron had taken particular offence to was the commentary around Bronny.
Keep my son's name out
of your mouth. A bit of a Will Smith kind of thing without the slap. But then Stephen A come out and sort of nearly like tail between his legs kind of stuff on ESPN.
Yeah, we should cover it in private. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
which
But also, have you seen the
Yeah.
compilation about the amount of times that he said, "If you've got something wrong, if you don't like what I'm saying, come and talk to me about it." Like, just if you see me, come talk to me about it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it.
Like he added himself.
We have a podcast. Not many people listen to it. Stephen A is the voice of SportsCenter and ESPN.
He's going to get a $100 million contract, by
Yeah.
the way.
He's a piece of shit.
yeah, well,
Like he's shocked.
but that's his job.
He's shock jock, but it's changed media, and it's annoying for someone that's just nerdy sort of sports.
Intelligence.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, thank you. I don't like it. It's just baiting. It's just baiting.
Yeah,
He's made a career out of hating. Look, if you don't think
That gets views, bro.
If you think Michael Jordan is better than LeBron James, that's fine.
yeah, they can have a robust discussion about it.
That's fine.
Just don't be a complete tosser about it.
If you want to continually shit on a guy that is hands down top 3 basketball players of all time and made a career out of it and is going to make $100 million out of it,
Yeah.
and then he gets in your face and treats you like the little man that you are,
Yeah.
tough shit.
Yeah, exactly. and considering the amount of times you said, come and talk to me about these things,
Yeah.
like you've put it out there. There's
Bro,
I want
team-
to be confronted
I'm
about
Team
it.
LeBron all day, every day, and twice on Sundays in this.
Yeah,
I've never been a big Stephen A fan, and then him going to sort of lick his wounds on SportsCenter, and he could have texted me in private. Where, like,
But also at the same time, calling him out for not doing that. It's like,
He
you're
sucks,
doubling
man.
down. You're doubling
He's-
down, and it's just
LeBron did well keeping it as cool as he did,
Yeah.
and not Will Smith in it.
Yeah.
Anyways,
LeBron knows.
I'm Team LeBron in this.
And to follow that up, Bronny, not bad.
Yep.
He scored 17 points.
Good.
What was it, 9 from
I
10
want
buckets?
Bronny. I want Bronny to go well. He
He looks like he's got some handles and like he's growing. He
Yeah.
seems to be playing pretty well in the
100%.
G League.
It's
He
well,
just
that's
needs
it.
to grow
Like,
as
it's
a
going to be
player.
tough for him because he's always going to be
That shadow.
shadow. Oh,
Like,
long shadow.
You can't,
He might
you
be
can't
6'10", but
compare
that shadow's
anyone to
massive.
LeBron in the current era or future eras,
Yeah.
as far as we know. So
Yeah.
yeah, he's always going to have that media attention on him.
I think the good thing for Bronny is he'll be a completely different type of player. He's
Yeah.
like the way his father plays basketball is not the style he'll
That's
have to play.
He's
He'll have to be more of a shooter and
Yeah.
use his handles to get some easy balls.
And no one's really the athlete that LeBron is.
no, at
Like,
that sort of size. Yeah.
What,
Nah.
41 years old?
40, but
sorry, yeah.
yeah, his game hasn't really changed that much in 22 years. Like,
Yeah.
Yep.
can they win the whole thing this year?
Well, Charmander, Charmeleon, and Charizard haven't been bad for him. So the white boys.
What's the Pokemon reference?
Well, they've come up with the move. Yeah, the meme. That's the evolutions of the three of them. So that's funny. They've been good, and they each have been good in their own regard to try and help support the team with LeBron out as well. Like Austin Rivers has been good. So I think that that's the support that those guys, Luka and LeBron will need going forward.
They're fully healthy now. So with LeBron back, they don't have anyone red on their depth chart. Luka, Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, LeBron James, I think, and we've spoken about it for the last few months, that they're probably lacking a league winning centre. No disrespect to Jackson Hayes.
Yeah, but maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe they're just too good.
Well, you have Luka and LeBron on the same team with some good support cast around you. Mm-hmm. Who knows?
Yeah, their challenge will become when they have to do a 7-game series against Thunder or Denver. That'll be the real challenge.
Yeah, I don't think they can win the whole thing this year, is my personal opinion.
I reckon they'll go deep.
Take a lot. Yeah.
Maybe get lucky, but we think that's the missing piece.
Let's run through the mid teams here. The Grizz fallen, though they were second, I think, last pod, so they've dropped down below the Rockets, Lakers, Nuggets to
They've
fifth.
all improved.
The Warriors are hot on their heels, $26 to win the whole thing. They're 4,000 threes for Steph Curry.
Yep.
Just hitting new heights now in terms of 3-point shooting. Will he ever get caught is maybe a question. Well, he's changed the game, so possibly.
They shoot enough threes now that potentially, but he's just shown he's the best at it and the most consistent as well. So it'll be definitely challenging. But Jimmy B's been really good for them. So
Great pickup.
Yeah. I don't know if it's Jimmy B himself or just his presence has unlocked that team a little bit more.
Yeah, or he's actually still really good at basketball,
Yeah,
and
that's all
then
right
once
too.
you get a little bit of enthusiasm, you know, for the team that you're playing with going, he's pretty good. Again, nearly like the Lakers as well, like some good players. Draymond's obviously still there, but supporting cast is probably not where it has been in the past.
But I think they've improved their win percentage. It's since he's joined, it's over 80. I think they've been winning very consistently. So, again, they're probably a team that'll be competitive on that name value, but whether they can go deep and compete with those guys we mentioned above, it's probably unlikely.
The interesting, I've been saying the records as well. The interesting thing here in the West is that pretty much 2 through 8 could have to go through the play-in.
Yep.
So the Rockets have 46 wins, and who are in second, and the T-Wolves are in 8th, have 41 wins. So it's only 5 wins that are separating 2, 3, 8. 9 and 10, it's like a different story. We'll get down there. So the Clippers are 7th, 40 wins. T-Wolves 8th, 40 wins. Kings are 500, 35. They're sitting 9th. Suns have been really disappointing. 34.
I think all the
37.
reports is Durant's done. He's going to move on.
Yeah, so where does he end up next year? Monks, can you go Durant news, see if there's anything there around KD? And then an interesting story that we've seen with the Mavs, the curse. Kyrie's done his ACL since the last pod. It is a couple of weeks old, but it sucks. It was right after we were talking about him maybe playing for Australia.
Yep.
And
got hurt during the week as well.
so their injury list is obscene, and there's a sort of a graphic or a meme doing the rounds on social media that's saying that they're close to forfeiting games in the NBA. I would say take that with a grain of salt. I don't think any team...
the league will hook them out.
Yeah, they'll hook them up.
Yeah.
But they're over their cap. So there's an issue there with bringing in, guys on a short-term contract or bringing guys up from the G League. Anything else there in that screenshot?
Well, the G League guys maybe played too many games already. They
so
have a limitation on how many hours, so they could also run out. So they've must maintain a team of 8, and they're currently sitting at 8. So that's the thing. If someone gets injured, they're going to probably be asking the league for some exemption of some sort to continue to field a team.
So injured list at the moment, Kyrie, obviously we just mentioned. You just mentioned Dante Exum. AD still no good. Caleb Martin still no good. They're active players. They have Spencer Dinwiddie, Klay Thompson, Najee Marshall, PJ Washington, Kai Jones. They're starters plus 3 on the bench.
Yeah. It's pretty well known that their new ownership is casino owners and probably wants to move the team out of Dallas because they can't build casinos in Dallas and they want to move it to Vegas.
Dallas has to have an NBA team though. It's like one of the biggest markets in America.
I would say so, but yeah.
Imagine moving the Cowboys out of Dallas.
I agree with you. But
It's not a perfect analogy.
it's not
obviously, but
America's team, etc. But yes, it is a big team. But Las Vegas, you can tie a new stadium with a new big casino and turn it into a multi-billion-dollar franchise. Well, more than it already is. So, it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But Dallas being bad is good for them to potentially move the team to Vegas.
It's the 4th biggest metropolitan area in the States. And this is interesting as well, and because hockey's just brought in, they've expanded from 30 to 32 over the last couple of years with Seattle and was Vegas 31?
Vegas Golden Knights?
Yeah,
Knights or something?
30.
Yeah. They did add them recently, but yeah, they might have added the other 2 afterwards.
I think there's a Seattle, and I think there's someone else that have just come. Utah. Utah has just got a team in the hockey. They've gone to 32. To me, it's made sense for a number of years that the NBA would have 32. Yeah. So if their owners want to move them out, then Dallas has to have a team. It's too big a market. Yeah. Too big a market. And if that's Vegas that they want to go to, then that leaves the door open.
Yeah.
You can't have 31 teams.
I think there's all but guaranteed there'll be a Vegas franchise at some point.
Across all 4, I think.
Yes. Yeah, agree.
It's growing too much. And then the way that the international viewership of
and
American sport
as well
is, look at the NRL taking games to Vegas.
Exactly.
You'll have people that go to America and they're like, oh, fuck, let's go catch a
Yeah, well, they're in Vegas already, so they're like, hey, let's catch a game. So,
it makes way too much sense for them to have professional sports teams across all 4.
Imagine playing games in the fucking sphere. Like,
Well, yeah, that's true as well. If we're talking about arenas, we're at football stadiums.
yeah, exactly.
Imagine that. But then, I suppose, does that leave a hole with Dallas? By all accounts, not popular owners.
Not at all.
Not in recent times.
Or ever. I'm not sure. But so watch this space. Bit of market / geography chat for you there. But the metro area, Dallas Fort Worth, is 8 million people. Way too big to.
Can definitely support a team.
Having said that, as well, you want to play devil's advocate. Los Angeles didn't have an NFL team for 20 years.
Yeah,
so it can happen.
It's also a reason why they have several now.
Yeah, they're like, hey, this is a massive place. But anyways, they're not relocating this year, and I think it's all hyperbole to say that they'll be forfeiting games, but they're very thin, and they'll be in tank mode.
Yep. Spurs lose Fox for the season. That was a couple of weeks ago that happened, and they're probably sitting. Not going to move too much, but is Victor hurt? Was that what happened last time?
Yeah, he had a DVT in his shoulder.
Clot. Yeah, the blood clot.
Yeah, so both of
Spurs,
their season's done. Essentially, was interesting to see them like pushing from being cellar dwellers to maybe being a play-in team. Pretty much under Wembanyama, but you lose your generational alien freak in Wemby, and then the
next best player,
the big name point guard that you bring in. So they're done.
Yeah.
Blazers, Pels, Jazz, done. Yep. So play-in is interesting. I think it might finish the way that it is at the moment. Because Mavs, you can't imagine.
I wouldn't imagine them improving.
Yeah, you can't imagine they're going to improve. But then who has to go through the play-ins and who's going to get that top 6 seed is still time will tell.
Yep, it's very, very tight.
And like I said, it's an average of about 10 games left, depending on how many games your team has played. So the NBA get through 10 games
April
in less
15th?
than 3 weeks.
That's
It's about 3 weeks, I think,
Yep.
till NBA playoffs. I remember it because my daughter's about to turn 1, and I had some paternity leave last year. And I'm like, that's excellent timing to have the NBA playoffs starting right around my paternity leave. So there you go. Might plan the next one around the NBA playoffs. That's actually just quickly. I think we've got time. What's the best time of the year for sport?
Depends what you like.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go off the sports that we like.
Like for me, it's probably
September
Footy finals.
Yeah.
yeah.
NFL's just started.
NFL's just started.
Yeah, but then also like maybe slightly later, December, because then you get
Yeah.
proper football, and then you get all the cricket season as well. Basketball's heating up.
I think it's pretty hard to go past that sort of Boxing Day sort
That is
of
a good
window
point.
with cricket. Yes, you don't have footy.
Yeah.
But
You're
then
on
all the
holidays.
You've got all the US
and
spots,
look,
so-
maybe there's that bias as well of being on holidays.
Yeah. But, caveat, then you look at like now, you're getting all the
It's pretty
motorsport,
good, yeah.
all the Aussie football's kicking off. So,
Yeah, March, April's pretty good.
it depends on what you like. Again, it depends on what you like.
I mean, the fact that we like so many sports,
Yeah.
like there's always
The
something
IPL
to watch
started,
all year
so-
round.
Yeah, I think if you asked our wives, they're like, what difference is it,
What
mate?
about, it's every month. Every day, every month.
It's just a new sport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. Let us know in the comments what you reckon is the best time of the year. Now I am a bit more aware of time. Let's get into the NFL, followed by a final round.
Well-
Monks, hit that button.
Okay. Didn't hit it hard enough.
Didn't work. That's all right.
That's not even the right one.
And Cristiano Ronaldo is playing quarterback this year for the Giants. They're not going to have to draft. All right. Quarterback movements. Who have we got? Where are they going?
I can run you through it. So
Yep.
Geno Smith got traded to the Raiders. So that was
Pete Carroll connection.
Pete Carroll was the starter there. Fields ends up at the Jets. So he's going to be the starter there. Winston just signed. I think that was in the last day. He's a 2-year deal with the Giants. So it looks like he'll be their starter.
That's
So-
an absolute mess of an organisation.
Yeah, but Neighbours is going to get 2,000 targets this year, so I think you'd be happy at least with that. Vikings say they're out on Rodgers, and he had an official visit yesterday or the day before with the Steelers,
Wow.
so it looks likely. And Wilson visited about a week ago with the Browns, but nothing official. So that stuff's still going to be worked out. Looks like Vikings are going to stay with JJ McCarthy and probably bring in some other veteran.
Makes sense.
Makes sense, yeah.
You spend a top 10 draft pick
Exactly.
on someone.
There had been a lot of trade rumours for him, and they obviously had calls, but they're going to keep him and, maybe add a veteran. But speaking of veterans, Mac Jones goes to the 49ers, Minshew goes to Chiefs, Brissett goes to Cards, Mac Jones went to the Colts, and Zach Wilson went to the Finns as all our kind of backup QB movement. So there's also not a huge amount of name value as well out there, and a lot of those guys all from that same draft class that I just mentioned there. So outside of Trevor Lawrence, I think all of them have moved. Jones, interesting, because he'll probably compete to be a starter there at the Colts against AR-15. So we'll have to see how he kind of plays out as well there. But the rest of them are going for backup jobs. Josh Allen got paid. He got the 6-year, $330 million deal. Massive contract. The most highest paid quarterback now per year average. And then quarterback season 2 was announced last week, which will have Joey B, Kirk Cousins again, and then Jared Goff, which should be a pretty interesting season for those 3 quarterbacks. Other news, Stingley Jr., a cornerback, got now the highest paid corner, gets 3 years, $90 million, average of $30 a year. And
Is
then,
that too much to pay a corner? $30 million a year?
well, if I go into the next figure of Jamar and Higgins, they signed big money as well. So Chase got 4 years at $161 million, and Higgins got 4 at $115. And then Metcalf got traded to the Steelers and did a 5-year, $150 million.
Crazy receiver money, yeah.
So if receivers are getting ridiculous money and they're the best receivers,
Yeah, you need someone to guard them.
exactly. If you want the best corners, you got to pay the best corner money. So I think if you're keeping those guys, it's comparable in that regard. But yeah, receivers getting big money. That Higgins deal's interesting because he's the highest paid number 2 wide receiver. He got like $1 million more than Jalen Waddle got, who's probably your other top number 2 wide receiver on a team. So they're the kind of big moves, and there's thousands are there, free agency moves happening, but that was the big stuff in the NFL currently.
And pro days, where are we at with that?
Very close. April 1st will be the last pro day. And there's been some interesting stuff about some top wide receivers running numbers, and there's no official video of that 40 time ever happening. So I think it ended up being a lot slower than they reported. So there's been a few things like that.
Was that for McMillan?
McMillan, yeah. They reported he ran a 4.48, and then everyone clarified it was more like a 4.56. So you're not too bad. But
people are worried about that. He's huge.
But he's not Brian Thomas, I think was the comparison.
Yeah.
Who ran a 4.38 something, didn't he?
Do you think he's the best receiver in the class?
In this class, so far, yes. And I'll tell you more when I've done a little bit more investigation. But I think so. And there was also reports of Milrow, the quarterback, ran a 4.3, and then but at read-time it was more like a mid 4.40, but still pretty quick.
For his size as well.
For his size, as a quarterback, yeah. So, some of that stuff coming out from pro days, but once we get kind of all the official numbers and the guys that didn't run at Combine, then, we'll kind of get a better picture. Not a huge amount of movers and shakers like risers and fallers in this one. It's kind of the top 50 is still the top 50. They have maybe moved a couple spots, but there hasn't been anyone that's really kind of just blown everyone out of the water.
But physically from the NFL Combine, there's a couple standouts in Shamar Stewart and Nick Amenwari.
They were the two big ones, but it didn't really improve their stock as one getting.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of confirmed. It was like, we thought these guys are freak, and they are. So.
Yeah, and they're sort of late first rounders anyway.
Yeah.
Draft is on Anzac Day our time.
Yep.
So again, back into great sporting sort of times of the year. I think me and you will be doing a pod. Monk's taking some holidays, and that will be Anzac Day morning. So you could watch a bit of Esky, follow the NFL draft into the footy, obviously, Anzac Day afternoon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Final round, Jimmy?
Let's do it.
Can I get this one right?
Let's hope so.
See. All right, what's happened in the UFC this week?
So there was a card today. Leon Edwards was the big one. He lost to Sean Brady in the 4th round. Got a choked out, a special sort of choke. I don't remember the actual name of it. It was a one-arm choke. But a bit of a fall down for Edwards, and Brady continues his rise. Jan how do you say his last name?
Blahovic.
Loses in a decision to Carlos Umberg, which is interesting for these two because it's kind of, and going back to Edwards, it's interesting, these guys are starting to get older and then these younger guys are starting to come through and getting wins, and we're seeing maybe a bit of a changeover in some of those divisions. The other big names out of this card was Kevin Holland won. He beat Gunnar Nelson. And then Meatball Molly lost again, unfortunately, and then he officially retired. She's retiring, yeah. So didn't really do too much in the divisions outside of being a big name out of England. But, definitely a known name there. Next week we have the Australian Steve, how do you say his last name? Ursek. He's taking on Brandon Marino.
That's a title fight.
And then there's another 2 weeks until we get to the Volk card. So that's what's coming up in the UFC. I don't think we'll go through the previous pay-per-view, but we had Pereira losing in a bit of an interesting decision, I thought. But it looks like the rematch is going to happen for that. So who cares?
Yeah, they're going to run that straight back with
I think
Uncle Ove.
Yep. That's the plan.
How old is Uncle Ove? Do you know off the top of your head?
32.
Wow.
Because it says it on your screen. But anyway.
32, 6'3", 205, champ.
Yep. So
21-1. Mm-hmm. Who's beaten him? Had no contest with Johnny Walker. Draw with Blahovic. Hasn't lost.
Paul Craig.
Yeah, Paul Craig. And
many moons
a long
ago.
time ago.
Wow.
So they're going to replay that. Outside of that, Conor McGregor's going to run for Irish president.
I'm going to build a fucking wall.
Let's see how that goes.
And England's going to pay for it.
Yeah, he's a plus 2,500 favourite at the moment, so he's got a long way to close out, but we'll see how
things
it goes. Yeah, exactly. Did meet with Trump during the weekend as well.
Of course he did.
Funny. But the really interesting thing is this organisation, which is called TKO, is creating its own boxing league. They currently already own the UFC and the WWE. So they're being joined by, how do you say his name? Turkey
Al-Shik, I want to say.
Who's the guy that heads up all the big Saudi boxing events. He's the guy that puts them on. You see him on the TV and that. He's joined forces with Dana to set up this new boxing league. And the rumours are September 12th will be their first boxing event. Might have the Canelo-Crawford fight on it for big money. But they're also talking about this mega card where they have a big boxing, title fight, have a UFC title fight, have maybe a run-in with a big WWE match or something leading into it.
How do you do that in terms of you're going to an octagon and...
Yeah, well, I guess outside of the octagon, the other two are essentially in a ring.
Sure.
But a WWE ring is different to a boxing ring.
Yeah.
Clearly, it's more like a trampoline, but...
I don't know, as well, with modern sort of technology, they got shit coming out of the floor. And, I don't know.
I do remember Glory did, when they did kickboxing and boxing or kickboxing and MMA together, they had a ring and an octagon side by side. So you could see both.
I mean, if they can switch from an ice rink to a basketball court in Madison Square Garden overnight,
within a day, they can probably
work this out.
But can you imagine, Dwayne Rock Johnson into Alex Pereira fight into a Canelo fight is the talk they're talking about.
For me, the WWE is less appealing, and I have this argument with multiple friends, some who may be listening.
It's sports entertainment.
Yeah, and I'm also not 14 anymore, so I don't know. The WWE
Rock can continue to get his rig out. I don't mind.
It has less appeal for me. It's interesting, though, because sometimes we talk about a UFC card and we're like, oh, yeah, the main fight's sick, but then, like, the middle of the card's kind of like, eh. Whereas imagine if you had a world, unification belt, boxing level fight to go along with two UFC title fights, in the same venue. I think that's appealing, and I think the way
which is what they're talking about,
and the way that sport's going, it's all about eyeballs and money and intrigue and all the rest of it.
So that is long.
Yeah, and I'm sure Dana wouldn't mind shaking hands with Mr. Al Sheikh over here and working something out. And look, I would probably tune in if it was a big name boxing, and obviously we all probably swing just towards the UFC from boxing. A bit more hard. You're probably the biggest boxing head on the table,
but we really only focus on champions and champion fights in the boxing either way, because there's so many that happens elsewhere.
Yeah, exactly. It's too hard unless you're a boxing aficionado, diehard. It's too hard to watch boxing. But if you had, a big UFC draw, like an Islam or a Volk or a Pereira or insert name here, fighting for a belt, and, Usyk or,
exactly.
Lomachenko or, someone that's a high-end boxer, Crawford on the same card together.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, for me, you're going to bring in probably some UFC heads that'll be like, oh yeah, I'd watch that, and you probably the other way around.
Boxing heads,
you're going to bring in some
it's
boxing
it's all
heads.
exposure, yeah.
So
and considering they have the big Netflix deal at the moment for the wrestling, again, grow that for as a streaming service, because UFC is trying to get out of ESPN because they had that issue with the pay-per-view last time that people couldn't buy it through ESPN, so they're looking to move to Netflix as well. Again, following this conversation about the NRL, a lot of them want to move to more of a streaming service, and Netflix has been successful with the NFL and with the Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight that they're now getting more involvement, and plus they have such a huge install base that it makes it easier to add sport. And would not surprise me if they add like a Netflix sports package and you just pay an extra $5 a month kind of thing and get all the sport.
Yeah, that'd have my money straight away. And I think for Netflix that's important because the intrigue of Jake Paul fighting Mike Tyson was obviously better than the event.
Yes.
To actually get elite level athletes on your
and prove that you could stream it on your service.
Yeah, well, that's an issue as well, wasn't it?
Because they kind of move, live comedy streaming, and then they've gone straight into sports, and they're kind of proving that they can do big sports events.
Yep.
And did it before the NFL over Christmas. So looks like the UFC wants to go there, and this appeals to them. And if TKO has already got a deal kind of working out with them, then they could really turn that around and use that as a big sports platform. So I know DAZN's kind of trying to compete internationally, but Netflix might actually win this sports battle. It'll be an interesting thing to follow up.
Who's the big names in the WWE right now?
Rock, John Cena. It hasn't really changed too much. Cena just turned heel for the first time in 20 years. So,
is he?
Yeah. So they're aiming.
Cody Rhodes. I know
so Cody Rhodes, The Rock, and John Cena is the storyline. Is the main one.
Who's the guy? Didn't they just have a big event and there was like a Samoan type fellow that won it?
That'll be Roman Reigns.
Yes, Roman Reigns. I think.
Yeah, he's the other one who's I think just come back from an injury. The tribal chief.
I don't know fucking any of these guys.
You've gone very far down on that list.
Is Hulk Hogan still around?
he is, but he's very old. I did see what's his name? Who's the dude that does the woo chant?
Ric Flair.
Ric Flair was actually in a wrestling match the other day, and he's like 80.
Really?
Yes.
Crazy. Well, watch your space. We'll see if they get the triple header together. All right, we've chucked soccer into the final round. Liverpool, they should win the EPL. They're 12 points clear of Arsenal.
With, 7 games remaining?
It's 9. 9 to go. So 29 played by nearly every club.
Not winning the treble, though.
No treble. Yeah. No treble. And that's maybe where our interest might head over is to the UCL. Have you got it? Yeah, up there. Thank you. Scroll down for us. So we have quarterfinals to kick off in April. It's PSG, Aston Villa. Who would have thought Aston Villa get into the quarters of the Champions League? Arsenal, Real Madrid, Barca, Borussia Dortmund, Bayern Munich, Inter Milan. So all the big clubs in Europe and Aston Villa. So good on them for getting that far. Who bowed out in the round of 16? Liverpool, obviously the big name, but Atletico also got knocked out. Leverkusen ran into Munich. That's tough titties. And then, some of the other sort of teams that you probably would have expected to bounce out. So in terms of UCL teams that are left, 2 German, 2 Spanish, 2 English, 1 French, 1 Italian. The first leg for those games kick off 8th and 9th of April, our time.
Very good. Socceroos?
Socceroos, they won big against Indonesia. They had to win big against Indonesia. Have you got that as well? Or can you find
Asian qualifiers for the World Cup?
Yeah, so that was Thursday night, I think, and we've got a massive game against China. So in our group, Japan have they're qualified. They're like 9 points ahead, and
Just
it was
scroll it that way a
pretty much do or die for us. I think
That's
we
Group A.
actually lost our away game to Indonesia in Jakarta last year.
There we go.
But yeah, here we go. So that was must win because we're still only 1 point in the clear. Japan 19 points. They're nine points ahead. They're fine. Then Australia has 10. Saudi have 9. Indo have 6. Bahrain have 6. China have 6. Can you check that game on Thursday night? I believe that's on Tuesday night. I think it's in China. But yeah, if we win that, we're close to home. There's 6 teams in the group, so you play 5 teams home and away.
Yeah,
you play 10 games
10
total.
Click it.
So this is the penultimate sort of round, if you will.
Buy tickets.
It's in China.
Oh, it's in China? Yeah, there you go. It's the stadium.
Hangzhou Sports Park. So unless that's somewhere in Western Sydney, I think we're playing in China. So provided we beat China, then we go 4 points clear, where we're pretty sweet.
So safe, yeah.
Draw here is dangerous. Yeah, we can't.
Is this at risk?
Yeah, draw is a risk, and a loss is
shit.
really scary. Yeah. Who do we still have left? So you have to keep going to the next round, which I
Round
think
3.
will be sometime in April. So go up from there. Keep going, up. And there, if we finish third, we still can play playoffs. All right, so 5 June, we still got to play Japan once, so that's not good. And we still have to play Saudi, also not great. So, look, must win gets thrown around a lot, but it's close to must win on Tuesday night.
Yep.
Good thing they hammered Indo 5-1 on Thursday, and that's also really good for the goal difference.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're 7 goals ahead of Saudi Arabia, who sit behind us. As just alluded to, if we finish 3rd or 4th, we might get a second chance. But automatic qualification would go a long way if the Socceroos beat China on Tuesday night.
Yep. Should be awesome.
F1.
Yes, we'll finish with some F1.
let's do it.
It kicked off with the Australian Grand Prix last weekend. That was won by Lando Norris. Oscar Piastri, our boy, was unlucky. He had a spin there when it started to get wet and got beached. So he basically got lapped by, taken over by a bunch of cars.
Which does.
Yes,
Yes, bro.
Yeah, had to throw that bitch in reverse and get it back on the road. Did finish 9th to get a couple points. Max was 2nd. Russell was 3rd to round out the podium. 6 cars didn't finish this race because of the wet. Yeah, and ended up in the wall. Most of those ended up being the rookies. Aussie fans showed out. They just over 130K for the race day and up 465 across the weekend, which is very impressive. Chinese Grand Prix happened just before Potty started.
A few hours ago.
Yeah. Sprint race was won by Hamilton. Oscar did finish 2nd. Then Oscar backed it up being P1, so he got his first pole ever. He then led from start to finish in that race to win. What happened? Lando was 2nd for the 1-2 there for McLaren. They look pretty good. That's good for Oscar. Oscar and Lando so far will be, the challenges for title contentions. That's a big jump up for Oscar, considering he had the 2nd in the sprint race there to get him from, I think he was about, he was 10th, then 6th, and now he's into the 4th spot. He's only 2 points behind Max Verstappen and 2nd, 1 behind Russell, and Lando maintains his lead of about 10 points over him. So those 4 are probably where the competition is at so far for drivers stand for the Drivers' Championship. Otherwise, it's probably Mercedes versus McLaren currently, with Red Bull struggling for a second driver and Ferrari kind of being a bit up and down so far. That second driver, Liam Lawson, had a very tough start so far. He qualified 18th for Australian GP, 20th for the sprint race, 20th for this race. And considering his teammate is starting in the top 3 or 4, being Max Verstappen, there's already calls for his head. It's only been 2 races, and they already were.
Second seat at Red Bull so hard to keep.
Yeah, already conceding that they should switch to Yuki because they had the choice between the 2 of them. And Yuki's been very, very hot in comparison. He's been the best other Red Bull driver, which will be tough for Liam Lawson as a rookie. The rookies overall didn't do too great in this race. They started all from position 16 through 20, so basically all the rookies were in the back end.
What about this Antonelli?
Kimi Antonelli's been the best of them, having 2 top 10 finishes so far in a very good Mercedes car. So he's been pretty good there. So Liam Lawson's the one that's in trouble at the moment. You can tell that car's very much built for Max. It's a Max car, and he gets the most out of it. And anyone that's been sort of sitting next to him, go back to Checo last year, had the exact same problem. So I think it's less a Lawson problem and maybe more of the car, the way the car's designed. But we'll see how the season progresses. Can you find the next race for me?
Japan?
Yes. Oh, that's all right. They're staying on this side of the world at the moment, so they go to Japan, which is still an excellent time slot for us. When is that? Is that
it's fortnight? In 11 days.
11 days. So there you go.
12 days.
Yeah. So 2 weekends away. That race. And the final bit of news, they did finally confirm Cadillac to join the grid for next season.
Wow.
So that'll get us to 22 total cars on the racetrack.
That's with American manufactured cars?
Yes. Well, we'll see how much. They'll probably get a lot of support from other teams for parts and things like that to put that car together. But it adds 2 new driver spots. So we'll see some extra drivers on there as well, or maybe some old heads coming back, etc. But that'll be interesting to follow the announcements for that team going forward.
Let's go to that Liam Lawson. Has there ever been a Kiwi F1 driver?
Yep. Yeah,
they've had him.
There's been a few, I believe.
Yep. And that Antonelli grew up in Bologna, so not far, I don't think, from the Emilia-Romagna racetrack.
Not at all. A young fella. He's only
18.
Just turned 18 in August last year.
Crazy. 2 weeks of Japan. Piastri's already got a win. That's his 3rd total, I think. He had 2, I think we're looking at.
Yeah.
And yeah.
It looks good. Looks good. I'm keen. He could potentially win the Drivers' Champion, be a world champion.
Gate at Melbourne, we didn't mention, was 460,000.
65,000, yep.
Yeah, so the most by a while.
Yeah, broke the record last
year.
From last year's record, yeah. So continues to grow, continues to show the love and desire in the sport. China GP was maybe not as spectacular as the Australian one, but it's the sport's definitely growing. It's expanding. Every sport seems to knows that they need to expand to grow, and F1's no different.
All right.
That's it.
We'll be back for
Whack the cricket back on, Jimmy.
Oh yeah, pop the cricket. See how close we went to the 280s that we were looking at before.
I saw there were 220 with about 3 to go. So
250 maybe.
Yeah.
We'll be back on
252.
Well,
no, actually, no,
with
sorry.
two overs left.
There's 2 overs to go.
So we could be watching another record or near record unfold.
These 2 have been going all right. Strike rate of 14.
I think in the IPL now the 220 par might be moving to a 240. Yeah, 250 par, which is crazy to think of in 20 overs.
Yep.
We'll be back, I think, in a couple of weeks to run through a regular episode of the pod. And then, yeah, as aforementioned...
Archie's numbers weren't too good in this.
Yeah,
76
so
off 4.
Joffre just went for 76 off his 4. Wow. And that's Joffre Archer. That's not just some schmuck getting hit around for 76 off his 4 overs.
Yep.
That'll be a bit of a hit to the ego. Mm-hmm. Interesting, all the cheerleaders are white. Shh. What's going on there? They can only get 4. They can only get four internationals. They can only get four internationals. It's good. It looks like a good atmosphere there in Hyderabad. Sea of orange. We'll be back in a couple of weeks, I think, for a regular ep.
Yep.
And then it's Anzac Day is the NFL draft, so that'll be just me and Shauno. We're starting to do our draft prep. Always a fun episode. Yep. Goes a bit long, admittedly, but it's obviously
first round. It's fun.
Us watching it, and we essentially watch the draft unfold live. So we get some surprises, like we got with Michael Penix last year. We get some, run of the mill picks, and we just run through the player,
this draft,
who they are.
Who knows? So
this
it's
is
going to be fun.
I think I'm most excited about this draft for more of the drafts that I can think of in recent memory, just in the fact that, yes, Cam Ward is sort of shaping as the number one draft pick, but you've got Abdul Carter up the top there. You've got a bunch of defensive talent.
Yeah, where does Travis Hunter go? Do they value him as a two-way player?
What position is he going to play?
Is he a one-position player, and does that slide his value?
Yeah, and the fact that it's kind of a weaker quarterback draft compared to last year, where there's a very strong quarterback draft, is kind of intriguing in itself.
Good defensive talent, I think. So we'll
I think it's defensively. I think it's the best draft that we've seen in quite some time, and the skill positions as well is pretty interesting. And I think it's the best running back class that we've seen. At least, maybe not in. Ashton Genty's a freak.
Yeah, I think last year we had one guy in the top 50. We've got 5 this year.
Yeah.
But I think maybe Genty's the only one that'll go first round. The others all might go second.
I don't know.
Hampton might.
Yeah,
but again. I kind of think
I can see a world with 3 go in the first round.
Yeah.
Which to even be having that conversation with
the
running back market where it's been, and maybe a lot of people are like, Saquon's pretty fucking good. So, and again, we're not saying Ashton Genty is Saquon, but just running back, just coming back into, that's right.
Yep.
They're freak athletes and maybe should get drafted and paid accordingly.
Yeah, I agree.
I suppose little NFL news, you see Carl Juszczyk with the 49ers.
Got cut and went back.
Got cut and then went back. And
There it is. So 1 year contract?
No, I think he got a 2-year deal.
Good on him.
But I think it's just bringing his cap number down and maybe some of his guarantees getting kicked in.
Make fullbacks great again.
That's it.
Yeah, 49ers kind of cleared house. So they're an interesting team to look at going forward.
Could be anything next year, that's for sure. Yeah. That'll do us here a little bit longer on the pod, a lot to get through. This is On The Esky. It's Aussie, obviously. Here you go. But we do like our Australian sports and our US sport. Hit that subscribe button if you're finding us for the first time. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.